What happens when a 4-year-old child sees what a grown man can't? When one innocent sentence shatters 3 years of carefully built walls? Nathan Hayes thought he had his life figured out. Single dad, steady routine, no complications. Then his daughter pointed at a stranger and said 3 words that would unravel everything. "Dad, marry her." The woman didn't even stop walking, but something shifted that afternoon in Millhaven Park. Something irreversible. Stay until the end to see how a billionaire, a broken father, and one impossibly perceptive child collide in ways none of them expected. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The swing set creaked under Lily's weight, a rhythmic squeak that had become the soundtrack to Nathan's Sunday afternoons. He sat on the bench with his coffee growing cold in his hand, watching his daughter's hair catch the light as she kicked her legs higher, higher, chasing something he couldn't see. 4 years old, and she already moved through the world like she understood things he'd spent 3 decades trying to figure out. "Push me, Dad." Nathan stood, joints protesting the movement. 32 wasn't old, but some days it felt ancient. He caught the swing on its backward arc and gave it a gentle shove. "Higher." "That's high enough, Lil." "You always say that because it's always true." She laughed, that pure sound that still surprised him sometimes, like finding something valuable you'd forgotten you owned. Millhaven Park on a Sunday afternoon was a specific kind of quiet. The morning rush had cleared out. Young families with multiple kids and energy to burn. What remained were the stragglers, elderly couples walking loops around the pond, teenagers half-heartedly shooting baskets at the far court, and single parents like him trying to fill the hours between lunch and dinner. 3 years. 3 years since everything had changed, since the hospital room and the flat line and the doctor's hand on his shoulder. 3 years of learning to be both parents, of pondering what Emma would have done in situations he faced daily, of building a life that felt stable, even if it never quite felt whole. He'd gotten good at it though, the routine, the predictability. Breakfast at 7, daycare drop-off at 8:15, work until 5, pick up, dinner, bath, bedtime stories, collapse, repeat. It wasn't the life he had imagined at 25, but it was the life he had, and he'd learned to wear it like a coat that didn't quite fit, but kept you warm enough. "Dad, look!" Lily was pointing now, one hand gripping the swing chain, the other extended toward the walking path that curved past the playground. "I'm looking. What am I looking at?" "That lady." Nathan followed her finger. A woman was walking along the path, moving with the kind of purpose that suggested she wasn't here for the park itself, but using it as a route between 2 other places. Mid-30s maybe, dark hair pulled back severely. She wore a charcoal coat that probably cost more than his monthly rent, and even from 30 feet away, Nathan could see the phone pressed to her ear, her free hand gesturing sharply at points he couldn't hear. What about her? Lily's swing was slowing now. She dragged her feet against the mulch, kicking up small clouds of dust. "You should marry her." The coffee he'd been raising to his lips stopped midair. "What? That lady?" "You should marry her." Nathan felt something tighten in his chest. Not quite panic, not quite pain. Something adjacent to both. "Lily, you can't just... People don't just..." He stopped, recalibrated. "Why would you say that?" She shrugged. That 4-year-old shrug that could mean anything from "I don't know" to "I know exactly, but I'm not telling you." "She looks lonely." The woman was past them now, still on her phone, still walking like every second counted. She hadn't even glanced toward the playground. "She looks busy, Lil. That's different from lonely." "No, it's not." Sometimes his daughter said things that hit like a punch you didn't see coming. "Come on," he said more sharply than he intended. "Let's go home." "But we just got here." "We've been here an hour." "That's not very long." It was exactly long enough, Nathan thought. Long enough for the October sun to start its slide toward the horizon. Long enough for the temperature to drop just enough that he could feel it through his jacket. Long enough for his daughter to say something that would stick in his brain for the rest of the day, whether he wanted it to or not. 15 more minutes, he conceded. Then we need to get groceries. Lily was already running toward the slide, her pronouncement about the stranger apparently forgotten. Nathan watched her go, then found himself looking back toward the path. The woman was gone. He sat back down on the bench, coffee. Definitely cold now. Around him, the park continued its lazy Sunday rhythm. A dog barked somewhere near the pond. Teenagers shouted at the basketball court. Leaves skittered across the pavement, making sounds like whispered conversations. "You should marry her." Nathan had stopped thinking about remarriage approximately 6 hours after Emma's funeral, when his sister had touched his arm and said with the kind of gentle certainty that made him want to scream, "You know, when you're ready, Emma would want you to find someone else." Maybe she would have. Emma had been practical about most things. unsentimental in ways that had surprised him early in their relationship. But he'd never asked her what she'd want if she died young, if she left him alone with a 1-year-old daughter and a mortgage, and absolutely no idea how to cook anything that didn't come with instructions on the box. You didn't ask those questions. You assumed you had time to figure them out. "Dad, watch this." He watched. Lily went down the slide backward, arms raised in triumph at the bottom. He clapped dutifully. She ran back to do it again. His phone buzzed. Text from his sister. "Still on for Tuesday dinner?" He typed back. "Yeah, 6, perfect. Lisa's bringing her friend Michelle, just FYI." Nathan stared at the message. There it was again, the gentle orchestrations, the careful setups disguised as casual dinners. His sister meant well. They all meant well. But they didn't understand that he wasn't closed off to the possibility of someone new because he was still grieving, though maybe he was a little, in ways he'd gotten good at not examining too closely. He was closed off because his life now had exactly enough space for Lily and work and the daily maintenance of existence. And adding another person would require excavating room. He simply didn't have the energy to dig. "Tell Lisa Michelle's nice, but I'm not interested," he typed. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You don't even know Michelle." "Exactly." He pocketed the phone before she could respond. "Okay, Lil, time to go." "You said 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. "It's been like 5 minutes. "Has it?" He made a show of checking his phone. "Huh, looks like 15 to me." She gave him the look, the one that said she knew he was full of it, but was deciding whether to call him on it. She'd learned that look from Emma. Sometimes it was like having a ghost in the room, except the ghost was 4 feet tall and had a preference for wearing mismatched socks. "Fine," she said, dragging out the word. "But tomorrow we stay longer." "We'll see." "You always say that." "Because I always mean we'll see." She took his hand as they walked back to the car, chattering about something that had happened at daycare, something involving a boy named Marcus and a dispute over crayons. Nathan made the appropriate listening noises, but part of his brain was still caught on that moment. The woman walking past, Lily's sudden declaration, the way the afternoon light had hit the path just so, making everything look briefly like a photograph, like a moment someone had decided was worth preserving. "She looks lonely." No, she looked busy, focused, like someone who had places to be and conversations to finish, like someone whose life was probably already full of complications and certainly didn't need one more, in the form of a widowed father who could barely remember the last time he'd been on a date that didn't end by 8 because the babysitter had school the next day. They drove home through streets Nathan knew by heart now, left on Maple, right on 7th, straight through the intersection where the traffic light had been broken for 6 months and the city kept promising to fix. Their apartment building was in a neighborhood that realtors called transitional, which meant it was too expensive for what you got, but not expensive enough to feel safe leaving your bike on the porch. 3rd floor, corner unit, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen with cabinets that didn't quite close right. Home. "Can I watch cartoons after you pick up your toys from this morning?" But non-negotiable, Lil. She stomped off to her room with the dramatic flair of someone who believed this was the greatest injustice ever perpetrated. Nathan went to the kitchen, dumped the cold coffee, started a fresh pot. The coffee maker gurgled and hissed, a sound that had become oddly comforting in its predictability. His phone buzzed again. "Sister, you're being stubborn." "I'm being realistic," he typed back. "Same thing." He didn't respond. Instead, he opened the refrigerator, took stock of what they had, mentally calculated what they needed. Milk, eggs, something green.
That Lily would complain about, but eventually eat. Maybe chicken if it was on sale. "Dad, I picked up all of it." A pause. "Most of it." "That's not the deal." More stomping. Nathan smiled despite himself. At least she was consistent. The coffee finished brewing. He poured a cup, added too much sugar because that's how he'd started drinking it when Lily was a baby, and he needed all the help he could get and never broke the habit. Through the kitchen window, he could see the alley behind the building, where Mrs. Chen from 2B was taking out her trash, and the Rodriguez kids were riding bikes in circles that seemed to have no clear purpose beyond movement itself. Sunday evening, the week stretched ahead. Work meetings, he was already dreading parent-teacher conferences he needed to schedule, groceries and laundry, and the bathroom sink that had started making a weird noise he should probably deal with before it became an expensive problem. This was his life. It wasn't what he'd planned, but it was what he'd built piece by careful piece. It worked. It functioned. It was enough. Mostly. Cartoons now? Lily stood in the doorway, hands on hips. All the toys, every single one, even the ones under the bed. She hesitated. Most of the ones under the bed. Lily. Fine, I'll get them. She thundered back to her room. Nathan carried his coffee to the living room, sank into the couch that sat a house with a smoking chimney, a sun with rays like spikes, standard kid stuff. Except he looked closer. The three figures, two big, one small. Except they'd always been too big. And now there were three. No, he was reading into it. Kids drew random things all the time. It didn't mean anything. Okay, every toy is picked up. Lily appeared again, triumphant. Then yes, you can watch cartoons. Half an hour? An hour? 45 minutes. Deal. She grabbed the remote, settled next to him with the kind of complete stillness she only achieved when screen time was involved. Colors flickered across her face. Nathan watched her instead of the TV. This small person who was half him, half Emma, half something entirely her own that he couldn't quite identify but recognized as precious. You should make
Her. Where'd that come from? Lily had never mentioned Nathan dating, never asked why there wasn't a mom like some of her friends had, never seemed bothered by the fact that their family looked different from the ones in her picture books. Maybe kids were just weird. Probably that was it. His phone buzzed. Work email. He ignored it. Sundays were supposed to be off limits, though that boundary had eroded more than he'd let himself acknowledge. The cartoon played on, something with talking animals and a lesson about sharing. Lily laughed at a pratfall. Nathan's coffee grew cold again. Outside, the October light continued its slow fade. Somewhere in the city, people were having different Sundays. Better ones, probably. Dinners with extended family, couples walking hand in hand, lives that looked like what you saw in commercials for fabric softener or insurance. He'd had that at once briefly. Emma had made everything feel possible, like they were building towards something bigger than two people in a too-small apartment with a baby who didn't sleep. They'd had plans. Vague ones, sure, but plans nonetheless. A house, eventually. Maybe another kid. Trips to places that weren't just visiting Emma's parents in Florida. Then the headache that wouldn't go away. The doctor's appointment that led to more appointments. The diagnosis that came with words like aggressive and inoperable and months, not years. 7 months. That's what they got. 7 months from diagnosis to funeral. From we'll figure this out to there's nothing more we can do. Lily had been too young to remember any of it. Sometimes Nathan was grateful for that. Sometimes it felt like a theft. Dad, you're not watching. He blinked. What? You're not watching. You're just sitting there. I'm watching. You're not. I'm watching you watch. She considered this. That's weird. Yeah, probably. She went back to the screen. Nathan went back to his thoughts, which had already circled back to the woman in the park without his permission. Dark hair, expensive coat, phone pressed to her ear like she was negotiating something that mattered. She'd walked past the playground without a glance, without acknowledging that anything existed outside her conversation. She looks lonely. Did she? Or was that just Lily's 4-year-old brain making connections that weren't there, seeing patterns and randomness because that's what kids did? But Lily was usually right about people, unsettlingly so. She'd known Nathan's coworker, Derek, was getting divorced before Derek told anyone. She'd known Mrs. Chen's cat was sick before Mrs. Chen took it to the vet. She just noticed things, felt things, understood things in ways that seemed impossible for someone who still sometimes mixed up yesterday and tomorrow. The cartoon ended. Another one started. Lily was already absorbed. Nathan stood, took his cold coffee back to the kitchen, poured it out, rinsed the cup. Through the window, the alley was empty now. The Rodriguez kids had gone inside. Mrs. Chen's lights were on. He thought about starting dinner, but it was too early. He thought about tackling the laundry, but that felt like too much effort for a Sunday evening. Instead, he found himself pulling out his laptop, opening it at the kitchen table, staring at the screensaver. A photo from 2 years ago. Lily at the beach, arms spread wide like she could hold the whole ocean. He should update that photo. He should do a lot of things. The work email he had ignored earlier sat in his inbox, bolded and demanding. He opened it. Nathan, need you to cover the Riverside presentation Tuesday morning, Jenkins called out. Know it's short notice, but you're the only one who knows the account. Details attached. Martin. Fantastic. The Riverside presentation was a disaster waiting to happen. A project that had already gone through 3 account managers and was somehow still limping along despite everyone's best efforts to kill it. And now it was his problem. He typed back, I can do Tuesday afternoon, have a commitment in the morning. That commitment being Lily's speech evaluation, which he'd scheduled 3 weeks ago and had already rescheduled twice. He wasn't moving it again. Martin's response came within seconds. Afternoon works. Thanks for being flexible. Flexible, right. That's what they called it when you had no choice. He closed the laptop. From the living room, Lily was singing along with whatever cartoon had taken over the screen. She had Emma's voice, clear and unself-conscious. Another ghost in the room. The next morning came too early, the way Monday mornings always did. Lily fought him on breakfast, insisted on wearing shorts even though it was 50 degrees outside. Couldn't find her left shoe until they were already late. We have to go, Lil. But my shoe. You have other shoes, but I want these shoes. They made it.
Daycare 7 minutes late sets. Patel gave him the look that suggested this was becoming a pattern. It was. See you at 5, Lily. 5:15. Miss Patel corrected gently but firmly. Right. 5:15. He kissed Lily's head, got a distracted wave in return as she ran off to join the other kids in the block corner. Nathan drove to work through traffic that felt personally antagonistic. Arrived at the office, settled into his cubicle that was identical to everyone else's, except for the photo of Lily he kept next to his monitor. The morning crawled. Conference calls that should have been emails, emails that should have been nothing. Martin stopped by his desk twice to talk about Riverside, each time adding new complications that made the presentation feel less like a professional obligation and more like a slow-motion car crash he was being asked to narrate. Lunch was a sandwich from the deli downstairs, eaten at his desk while reviewing files. The afternoon wasn't any better. By the time 5 o'clock rolled around, Nathan felt like he'd aged a week. Traffic back to daycare. Pick up at 5:15 sharp because Mrs. Bichette's Patel had made it clear that late fees were non-negotiable. Lily talking non-stop about her day. Marcus had apologized about the crayons. There was a new girl named Sophie who had a backpack with unicorns. They'd sung a song about weather. Home, dinner, bath, bedtime. Read me 2 stories tonight. The deal is 1 story, Lil. But I was really good today. You're always good. Then I should get 2 stories. He couldn't argue with that logic. Honestly, 2 stories turned into 3 because Lily kept asking questions that required increasingly elaborate answers. By the time she finally fell asleep, Nathan felt like he'd run a marathon. He stood in her doorway for a moment, watching her breathe, her small chest rising and falling in the dark. This was it. This was his life. Wake, work, parent, repeat. It was enough. It had to be enough. Except Lily's words from Sunday kept circling back uninvited. You should marry her. He shook his head, pulled the door mostly closed, went to his own room, collapsed on the bed, still wearing his work clothes, stared at the ceiling where a water stain had been slowly growing for the past year because the upstairs neighbor kept insisting she'd fixed the leak, but clearly hadn't. His phone buzzed. Sister again. Tuesday dinner still on? He'd completely forgotten. Can we reschedule?
Work thing came up. You always have a work thing. This time it's true. Fine, but you owe me. He owed everyone. It felt like time, attention, energy he didn't have. The debt kept accumulating, and he kept pretending he could pay it back later, eventually, when things calmed down. Things never calmed down. Tuesday morning arrived with Lily in a mood. She didn't want oatmeal, didn't want toast, didn't want anything except a Pop-Tart. And Nathan didn't keep Pop-Tarts in the house because then they'd eat nothing but Pop-Tarts. Why not? Because Pop-Tarts aren't breakfast. Yes, they are. They're in the breakfast aisle. That doesn't make them breakfast food. Then why are they in the breakfast aisle? He couldn't actually answer that. They compromised on cereal with too much sugar, and Lily ate it while glaring at him like he'd personally victimized her. The drive to the pediatric center was quiet, Lily staring out the window with the kind of 4-year-old brooding that would be funny if it wasn't so exhausting. The center was in a part of town Nathan rarely visited, nicer, cleaner, with buildings that all looked like they'd been power washed recently. He found parking, helped Lily out of her car seat, walked through doors that slid open automatically. The waiting room was designed to be calming, soft colors, quiet music, toys arranged in bins that looked too pristine to have ever been played with. A receptionist with a name tag that said Dana snarled at them. Hayes, that's us. You're right on time. Someone will be with you in just a moment. They sat. Lily picked up a book about shapes. Nathan picked up a magazine about parenting that immediately made him feel inadequate. The cover promised 10 ways to be more present, and he couldn't get past the title without feeling attacked. Lily. Hayes? A woman stood in the doorway to the back offices, mid-30s, professional but approachable, clipboard in hand. That's us, Nathan said again, standing. The woman smiled. I'm Sarah. I'll be getting some preliminary information. Then Dr. Vale will do the evaluation. They followed Sarah down a hallway decorated with children's artwork and affirmations that felt focus group to death. The evaluation room was smaller than Nathan expected. A table, some chairs, shelves lined with toys and books, and objects he couldn't immediately identify the purpose of. Sarah asked questions, developmental milestones, speech patterns, any concerns Nathan had noticed. He answered as best he could, feeling like he was taking a test he hadn't studied for. "She seems great," Sarah said finally. "Dr. Vale will spend about 45 minutes with her. You're welcome to stay or wait in the lobby. Some parents find kids do better without them in the room." "I'll stay," Nathan said immediately. "Of course. She'll be right in." Sarah left. Nathan and Lily sat across from each other at the small table. Lily had found a puzzle and was working on it with complete focus. "You doing okay, Lil?" "Uh-huh. This won't be scary or anything, just talking and playing." "I know." Of course she knew. She probably understood this whole process better than he did. The door opened, and Nathan's entire Monday morning screeched to a halt. The woman who entered was the same one from the park. Dark hair, severe expression, except now she wore professional attire instead of an expensive coat. And she wasn't on the phone. She carried a folder, her eyes scanning it as she stepped inside. "Good morning. I'm Dr. Victoria Vale." She looked up. Their eyes met. Nathan watched her face for recognition, for any sign she remembered a random Sunday afternoon, a father and daughter at a playground she'd walked past without stopping. Nothing. Her expression remained perfectly neutral, perfectly professional. "Mr. Hayes, and this must be Lily." She extended a hand. Nathan shook it, feeling like reality had glitched somehow, like he'd stepped into a version of the world that ran on different rules. "Yes. Hi. Nathan Hayes." Smooth. Very smooth. Victoria turned her attention to Lily, crouching down to her level. "Hi, Lily." "I'm Dr. Vale, but you can call me Victoria if that's easier." Lily looked at her with that direct, unblinking stare she used when evaluating new people.
Okay, we're going to play some games and talk about things. Does that sound good? What kind of games? All kinds, whatever you like. Lily considered this. Okay. Victoria stood, pulled out the chair across from Lily. Nathan remained standing near the door, suddenly unsure if he should sit, where he should sit, whether he should exist at all in this space that seemed to have shrunk considerably. "You're welcome to observe, Mr. Hayes, but I'd ask that you let Lily and me interact without interruption, unless absolutely necessary." "Right, of course. He gestured vaguely at the chair in the corner. "Perfect." For the next 45 minutes, Nathan watched Victoria Vale work. She was good, exceptionally good. She moved through activities with Lily seamlessly. Puzzles, picture cards, questions that seemed casual but were clearly designed to assess specific things. And Lily, who could be shy with strangers, opened up almost immediately. They talked about colors and shapes. Victoria asked Lily to describe pictures, to tell stories based on sequences of images. She had Lily repeat words, listened carefully to how she formed certain sounds. All standard evaluation stuff, Nathan assumed. But what struck him was how Victoria listened, really listened, not the performative kind of listening adults often did with kids, waiting for their turn to talk. She was completely present, completely focused, like Lily was the only thing in the world that mattered in that moment. She looks lonely. Nathan found himself watching Victoria's face instead of Lily's, looking for cracks in the professional facade, some hint of the woman who'd walked through the park on a phone call, moving like she was late for something important. He found nothing. "Okay, Lily, last thing. I'm going to say some words and I want you to say them back to me. Ready?" "Ready." Victoria worked through a list, easy words at first, then progressively more complicated. Lily handled most of them easily, stumbled on a few. Victoria made notes, nodded, smiled. "Great job. You did wonderfully." Lily beamed. Victoria turned to Nathan. "If you'd like to wait outside with Lily for a few minutes, I'll compile my notes and go over results with you." "Sure, yeah, Lil, let's go find those toys in the waiting room."
Lily hopped down from her chair, took Nathan's hand. As they left, Nathan glanced back. Victoria was already absorbed in her notes, pen moving quickly across paper. The door closed. Lily tugged on his hand. "She's nice." "Yeah, she seems nice." "Is she the lady from the park?" Nathan stopped walking. "What?" "The lady I said you should marry." "Is that her? How did she—" "I don't—" "Lily, that was just a random person." "But it's the same lady." "Even if it is, you can't just—" "That's not how it works." "Why not?" "Because life wasn't a romantic comedy. Because random coincidences didn't mean anything.
because he barely knew this woman, and what he did know suggested she lived in a completely different stratosphere of existence. Because it's not, he said finally. Lily accepted this non-answer with a shrug. They made it back to the waiting room. She found the toys, Nathan found his phone, checked email, tried not to think about the fact that the universe had apparently developed a sense of humor. 15 minutes later, Sarah appeared. "Mr. Hayes, Dr. Vale is ready for you." Back down the hallway, back to the evaluation room. Victoria sat at the desk now, folder open, professional smile in place. "Please sit." Nathan sat. Lily did very well. Her receptive language skills are age-appropriate. Her vocabulary is actually slightly advanced. There are some minor articulation issues. She's struggling with R sounds, which is common at her age, but nothing that concerns me developmentally. Relief washed through Nathan. So she's okay. She's more than okay. She's a bright, engaged child. Victoria paused. The daycare flagged some concerns about her social interaction, but from what I observed today, she seems perfectly capable of appropriate peer engagement. Sometimes kids just need time to warm up. Yeah, she can be shy. That's not a flaw, Mr. Hayes. That's temperament. The way she said it felt almost defensive, like she was protecting Lily from an accusation Nathan hadn't made. Right, of course. Victoria slid a paper across the desk. Here's my full report. I'd recommend checking in again in 6 months, just to make sure the articulation issues are resolving naturally. If not, we can discuss speech therapy options. Nathan took the report, scanned it without really reading. Thank you. This is... Thank you. You're welcome. She stood, extending her hand again. Professional, distant. Nothing like the woman Lily had pointed
at in the park. Nothing like the stranger Nathan had spent 2 days accidentally thinking about. He shook her hand. "If you have any questions, you can call the center." "I will, thanks again." He was being dismissed. Message received. Nathan collected Lily from the waiting room, helped her into her coat, walked back to the car through morning light that felt too bright. Lily chattered about the games, about how Victoria had let her keep one of the puzzle pieces as a reward. Nathan drove back toward daycare, mind spinning in directions he couldn't quite control. It was her, the same woman. Lily had been right. But so what? Coincidences happened. This was a city of 500,000 people, but the professional networks were small, the circles tighter than they seemed. Running into the same person twice wasn't fate, it was statistics. His phone rang. Work. He ignored it. "Dad?" "Yeah, Lil? I really liked her. Dr. Vale." "Yeah, she listens good." Past tense. The evaluation was over. They'd probably never see her again, which was fine, which was appropriate, which was exactly how it should be. Nathan dropped Lily at daycare on time for once and drove to work. The office felt oppressive immediately. Martin caught him before he even reached his desk. "You ready for Riverside?" "As ready as I'm going to be." "Great, conference room in 20. The presentation went about as well as expected, which meant it was a controlled disaster instead of a complete catastrophe. The clients asked impossible questions. Martin made promises Nathan would have to keep. By noon, Nathan wanted to quit his job, move to Montana, and become a fly fishing guide. Lunch, more emails, a meeting about the meeting, another meeting about that meeting. By the time 5 o'clock hit, Nathan felt scraped hollow. Pick up at daycare, home, dinner. The same routine, the same rhythms, except something had shifted, some small thing he couldn't quite name. After Lily was in bed, Nathan found himself pulling out his laptop again. He told himself he was just curious, told himself it didn't mean anything. He searched Dr. Victoria Vale. The results came back immediately. Multiple hits. She had a professional profile on the Pediatric Center's website, impressive credentials, specialty in childhood development, 6 published articles, a LinkedIn that listed previous positions in Seattle,
Portland, San Francisco, always moving, never staying long. He clicked on an interview she'd done for a medical journal. The photo showed her in a white coat, arms crossed, expression serious. The article talked about her work with at-risk children, her approach to developmental assessments, her belief that most behavioral issues in kids came from adults not listening closely enough. "Children tell you everything you need to know," she was quoted as saying. "We just have to pay attention." Nathan closed the laptop. Lily's voice echoed in his head. "She looks lonely." He went to bed but didn't sleep well. Fragments of the day kept replaying. Victoria crouching down to Lily's level. The careful way she'd listened, the precise notes she'd taken, the complete absence of recognition when she'd seen him in the evaluation room, like Sunday afternoon had never happened. Maybe it hadn't. Maybe he'd built significance out of a moment that had meant nothing to anyone except his daughter, who saw connections everywhere, because that's what 4-year-olds did. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Work consumed him. The Riverside account became an all-consuming disaster. Martin kept adding requirements. The clients kept changing their minds. Nathan worked late every night, picked up Lily barely in time, fed her dinners that came from boxes. "You're tired, Dad." "Yeah, Lil, I'm tired." "You should sleep more." "I'll sleep when you're 18. "That's forever from now." "Tell me about it." Saturday morning, Nathan woke to Lily standing next to his bed, 3 inches from his face. "We should go to the park." He checked his phone. 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. "Lil, it's early." "You said we'd go to the park more." "I said maybe." "You always say maybe." She had him there. An hour later, after breakfast and the negotiation of appropriate clothing, they were back at Millhaven Park. Saturday morning was busier than Sunday afternoon. More families, more kids, more noise. Lily ran straight for the swings. Nathan found his bench, coffee in hand, and tried not to think about the last time they'd been here. She looks lonely. He watched Lily swing, listened to her shout for him to watch her go higher, felt the October sun that was warmer today than it had been all week, and then, impossibly, he saw her again. Victoria Vale, walking the same path, moving with the same purpose. No phone this time, just walking. Dark coat, hands in pockets, eyes forward.
Nathan's brain short-circuited 3 times. 3 times in 2 weeks. That wasn't coincidence anymore. That was pattern. That was something. He stood before he could think better of it. "Lil, I'll be right back. Stay where I can see you, okay?" He crossed the playground, stepped onto the path. Victoria was 20 feet ahead, walking away. He could just let her go. Should let her go. What was he even going to say? "Dr. Vale." She stopped, turned. Her face showed surprise for exactly half a second before professional neutrality slid back into place. "Mr. Hayes, sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Words failed him spectacularly. Victoria waited. "We're here," he finished lamely. "At the park again, my daughter and I. I see that." Silence stretched between them. Nathan became acutely aware that he was standing in the middle of a walking path in a park on a Saturday morning, having stopped a near stranger for no reason he could articulate. "Right. Okay, do you come here often?" The question surprised him. "Most weekends, when the weather's decent." "Ah." Another silence. "What about you?" Nathan heard himself ask. "I run this route sometimes when I need to think." "It's good for that." "Yes." This conversation was dying a slow, painful death. Nathan should walk away, should return to the bench, to Lily, to his simple Saturday morning that didn't involve awkward encounters with women who existed in entirely different worlds. "How is Lily doing?" Victoria asked with her speech. "Oh, good, she's good. We're practicing the R sounds like you suggested." "Excellent." "Yeah." More silence. A jogger passed them, then a couple with a dog. The playground noise continued behind them. "I should let you get back to your run," Nathan said. "My walk." "I don't actually run. I just call it that to make myself feel more athletic than I am." Was that a joke? Nathan couldn't tell. Victoria's expression remained inscrutable. "Well, your walk then." "Thank you." She started to turn away. "Dr. Vale." She stopped again. Waited. Nathan had no idea what he was about to say. The words came out anyway. "Do you want to get coffee sometime?" The silence that followed felt approximately 17 years long. Victoria's expression didn't change. "That's not appropriate, Mr. Hayes." "Right, of course. I just thought. I'm Lily's evaluator. There are professional boundaries." "Absolutely. I understand."
Shouldn't have, but the evaluation is complete and I'm not her ongoing care provider. Nathan's brain stalled. So technically, while it would be unusual, it wouldn't violate any ethical guidelines. Was that a yes, a no, some complex middle ground? "Is that a yes?" he asked. Victoria looked at him for a long moment. Nathan couldn't read her expression at all. Then so quietly, he almost missed it. "Tuesday, 3 o'clock. There's a cafe on 6th Street called the Daily Grind. Do you know it?" "I can find it." "Don't be late, Mr. Hayes. I have a 4 o'clock. She turned and continued her walk without another word. Nathan stood there watching her go, his brain trying desperately to catch up with what had just happened. "Dad, you're not watching." He turned. Lily was hanging upside down from the monkey bars, waiting for acknowledgement. "I'm watching." He walked back to the bench, sat down, tried to process. "Tuesday. Coffee with Victoria Vale. It didn't mean anything. It was just coffee. People had coffee all the time. Professional coffee, friendly coffee, coffee that didn't imply anything beyond two people drinking beverages in the same general vicinity. Except Lily's voice from 2 weeks ago. You should marry her. Nathan shook his head. No, absolutely not. That's not where this was going. This was just... What was this? He had no idea. But Tuesday suddenly felt very far away and very close at the same time. The weekend dragged. Sunday felt like it lasted 3 days. Monday was worse. Work meetings blurred together. Martin's voice became background noise, and Nathan checked his watch approximately every 7 minutes, like it would make Tuesday arrive faster. It wouldn't. Time had its own agenda, and apparently that agenda involved moving as slowly as physically possible. Lily noticed something was off. You keep staring at nothing, Dad. I'm thinking about... What? Work stuff. You're a bad liar. She was 4. 4-year-olds weren't supposed to be that perceptive. Monday night, Nathan stood in front of his closet longer than he had in 3 years. What did you wear to coffee that was maybe professional, maybe not, definitely confusing? He settled on jeans and a button-down that wasn't too wrinkled, then changed his mind, then changed it back. This is stupid, he told his reflection. His reflection didn't disagree. Tuesday morning arrived.
With Lily in rare form, cooperative, dressed herself without argument, ate breakfast without negotiating. Nathan should have been grateful. Instead, he felt like the universe was setting him up for something. Drop-off at daycare went smoothly. Too smoothly. "Have a good day, Mr. Hayes," Miss Patel said, and Nathan swore she was smiling like she knew something. She couldn't know anything. Nobody knew anything except him and Victoria probably didn't think about it at all. Work was unbearable. The morning crawled. Lunch was a sandwich he barely tasted. By 2:30, Nathan told Martin he had a dentist appointment. "Dentist? You didn't mention that emergency crown situation." Martin looked skeptical but waved him off. Nathan grabbed his jacket and left before anyone could ask follow-up questions. The daily grind was exactly the kind of place Nathan would never have discovered on his own, tucked between a vintage bookstore and a dry cleaner on 6th Street. The kind of cafe that looked like someone's living room had annexed a coffee bar. Mismatched furniture, walls covered in local art that was either brilliant or terrible, depending on your perspective, and a chalkboard menu written in handwriting so ornate it was nearly illegible. Nathan arrived at 2:47, 13 minutes early. He ordered coffee he didn't want, and sat at a table near the window where he could watch the door. 2:50, 2:55, 2:58. At exactly 3 o'clock, Victoria walked in. She wore dark slacks and a cream-colored sweater, her hair down instead of pulled back like it had been at the evaluation. She looked around, spotted Nathan, and crossed to the table with the same purposeful walk she'd had in the park. "Mr. Hayes." "Nathan, please. Mr. Hayes makes me feel like I'm in trouble." "Are you in trouble?" "Probably. I lied to my boss about a dental emergency." Something that might have been amusement flickered across her face. "I'll try to make it worth the deception." She went to order. Nathan watched her interact with the barista. Brief, efficient, no small talk. She returned with tea. Of course she drank tea. They sat across from each other. Silence stretched. "So," Nathan started. "So," Victoria echoed. More silence. This was going well. "I should admit something," Nathan said. "I have no idea why I asked you to coffee." "That's refreshingly honest. My daughter pointed at you in the park 2 weeks ago and said I should marry you. I've been trying to figure out if that's the worst."
Conversation starter or the most honest one? Victoria's eyebrow raised a fraction. Your daughter said that word verbatim. Dad, marry her. Just like that. She's 4. 4-year-olds don't have filters. What did you say? I told her that's not how it works. She asked why not. I didn't have a good answer. Victoria wrapped her hands around her teacup. Children often see things adults work very hard not to see. Yeah, well, she also thinks vegetables are optional and bedtime is negotiable, so her judgment isn't infallible. Fair point. The conversation stalled again. Nathan took a sip of coffee that had gone lukewarm. Outside the window, people passed by. A woman with 3 shopping bags, a teenager on a skateboard, an elderly man walking a god that looked older than the man. Why did you say yes? Nathan asked to coffee. Victoria considered the question. I'm not entirely sure. That's also refreshingly honest. I don't make a habit of meeting parents of my evaluations for coffee. It's not against the rules, but it's certainly irregular. So why break pattern? She was quiet for a moment, fingers tracing the rim of her cup. You were persistent without being pushy. That's a rare quality. I asked you once. Exactly. Nathan didn't know what to do with that. Can I ask you something? Victoria said. Sure. Why aren't you remarried already, or at least dating? The question landed like a punch. Nathan set his coffee down carefully. That's pretty direct. I'm not good at subtle. It's a professional asset and a personal liability. Fair enough. He exhaled. Honest answer. I've been too tired, too busy, too comfortable in the routine. Maybe dating requires energy I don't have at the end of the day. And yet here you are. Here I am. What changed? Nathan thought about Lily on the swings, pointing at a stranger, about the universe's apparent sense of humor, about standing on a park path on Saturday morning, asking a woman to coffee before his brain could stop his mouth. I think maybe my daughter's smarter than I am. That's not a high bar for most 4-year-olds. Was that a joke? Nathan laughed despite himself. Victoria's expression softened, almost imperceptibly. Tell me about Lily's mother, she said.
If that's not too invasive, Emma. The name still felt strange in his mouth sometimes. We met in college, got married young, had Lily younger. She died when Lily was 14 months old. Brain aneurysm. One day she had a headache. 7 months later she was gone. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Nathan paused. The thing nobody tells you about being widowed young is that people expect you to move on. Like there's a timer somewhere, and when it goes off, you're supposed to be ready to date again. But there's no timer. There's just days, a lot of them, and you get through them until one day you realize you've built a whole life around getting through days. Victoria was quiet, but her attention was complete. Nathan found himself continuing. I loved Emma, still do, in whatever way you love someone who's gone. But I'm not dating because I'm pining. I'm not dating because dating means opening up space in a life that's already full, and I'm not sure I have that space. Then why are you here? Because my daughter pointed at you in a park, and I can't stop thinking about it. Because you showed up 3 times in 2 weeks, and that feels like something. Because... He stopped. I don't know, maybe I'm trying to figure out if I actually want the zits, or if I'm just scared of what happens if I make it. Victoria nodded slowly. That makes sense. Does it? More than you'd think. She took a sip of tea. Nathan waited. I move a lot, Victoria said finally. Different cities, different positions. I've been here 6 months. Before this, Portland for 8 months. Before that, San Francisco for a year. Seattle before that. I'm very good at arriving, and very good at leaving. Why? Because staying requires something I'm not sure I have, which is the ability to need people. She said it matter-of-factly, like she was describing a missing kitchen appliance. I've built a career on being self-sufficient, independent. I go where the work is interesting, I do the work well, and I leave before anything gets complicated. That sounds lonely. It's efficient. That's not what I said. Victoria met his eyes. Your daughter told me I looked lonely. It wasn't a question. Nathan felt something shift in his chest. She did. She was right. The admission hung between them, around them. The cafe continued its afternoon rhythm. The hiss of the espresso machine, quiet conversations at other tables, indie music playing just loud enough to be noticeable. I have an offer, Victoria said, in Seattle, running a research program at a children's hospital. It's significant, career-defining, probably. Nathan felt something sink. When? They want an answer by the end of the month. I'd start in January. Are you going to take it? I should. It's exactly the kind of opportunity I've spent 15 years working toward. But I sat across from your daughter 2 weeks ago, and she looked at me like she could see straight through every defense I've ever built. And then I ran into you in the park, and you asked me to coffee, and I said yes, even though every instinct I have told me to say no. And now I'm sitting here, telling a near stranger things I don't tell people I've known for years. She stopped, took a breath. I don't know what I'm doing, she said quietly. Yeah, Nathan said. Me neither. They sat with that for a moment. Can I tell you something? Nathan asked. Please. I came here thinking this was maybe a date, or maybe professional networking, or maybe just 2 people having coffee, because why not? But sitting here now, I think maybe it's something else. What? I think maybe we're both trying to figure out if we're allowed to want something we didn't plan for. Victoria was very still. That's terrifyingly accurate. Yeah, well, I've had 3 years to get good at uncomfortable honesty. A small smile. Actual visible warmth. Nathan felt absurdly proud of himself for causing it. I should tell you, Victoria said. I'm terrible at this. At what? Whatever this is. Relationships. Dating. I had a boyfriend in graduate school who broke up with me because I was emotionally unavailable. His exact words. I haven't seriously dated anyone since. How long ago was that? 8 years. Nathan choked on his coffee. 8 years. I told you I was terrible at this. That's not terrible. That's Olympic level avoidance. Thank you. They were both almost smiling now. The tension had shifted into something lighter, though no less charged. Okay, Nathan said. Cards on the table. I haven't been on a date since my wife died. I have a 4-year-old daughter who is more socially competent than I am. I work too much at a job I don't particularly like. I live in an apartment with a leaky ceiling and furniture I bought on Craigslist. I have student loans and exactly 3 dress shirts. This is the best I've got. That's refreshingly pragmatic.
Your turn. Victoria sat down her tea. I have more money than I know what to do with. I say that not to brag, but because it's relevant. My parents died when I was 22 and left me a trust fund I've never touched except to invest. I built a career because I needed purpose, not income. I own properties in 4 cities that I rarely visit. I've been asked to speak at conferences I then avoid because large social gatherings make me anxious. I'm 30 years old, and I've never had a plan to live longer than 3 months. Plants are hard. I killed a succulent, Nathan. They're designed to survive neglect. He laughed, actual laughter, that felt like the first real breath he'd taken in the past hour. So we're both disasters, he said, apparently. Want to be disasters together. The words were out before he could stop them. Victoria's expression shifted. Surprise, uncertainty, something else he couldn't name. I don't know what that would look like, she said. Neither do I, but I think that's the point. She studied him for a long moment. Nathan forced himself not to look away. I'm leaving in 2 months, Victoria said. Probably. Most likely. Seattle is the right move professionally. Okay, I'm warning you now so you know what you're getting into. Noted. I mean it, Nathan. I'm not good at staying. It's not personal. It's just who I am. And I'm not good at opening up space in my life. But I'm here anyway. Victoria's fingers drummed against the table, nervous energy she was trying to contain. This is a terrible idea. Probably. I should say no. You could. You should walk away. I could. Neither of them moved. The barista called out someone's order. A chair scraped against the floor. Outside, clouds had started to gather, turning the afternoon light softer, grayer. If we do this, Victoria said slowly, I need you to understand something. I don't know how to do casual. I'm either all in or I'm out completely. There's no middle ground for me. That's fair. And I need time. I can't just leap. That's not how I work. Also fair. And Lily, if this goes anywhere, if it becomes something, I won't do anything that could hurt her. The second I think this is going to cause her pain, I'm out. Non-negotiable. Nathan felt something warm spread through his chest. That's the right answer. Is it enough for you to say yes to whatever this is? He thought about Lily's drawing. 3 figures under a wide sky. Home. Yeah, he said. It's
Enough, Victoria exhaled. Okay. We can try. Whatever that means. Nathan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. Reluctantly, he checked. Daycare. Missed call. Voicemail. I have to, sorry, 1 second. He stood, walked toward the door for better reception, called back. Miss Patel, answered on the first ring. Mr. Hayes, nothing urgent, but Lily's running a slight fever. Probably just a cold, but we need you to pick her up. How high? 100.2. She's okay, just a bit fussy, but policy is... I know, I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, turned back to the table. Victoria was watching him. Lily's sick, I have to go. She stood immediately. Of course, I'm sorry, I don't... This isn't me bailing, I just... Nathan, your daughter's sick, go. He grabbed his jacket, fumbled with his wallet. I already paid, Victoria said. You didn't have to. He hesitated at the door. Can I call you? I don't have your number. Right, of course. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands, rattled off his number. Victoria typed it into her phone. I'll text you, she said, so you have mine. Okay, take care of Lily. Nathan nodded, pushed through the door, half ran to his car. The drive to daycare took 15 minutes.
that felt like 50. Miss Patel met him at the door with Lily, who looked small and miserable. "Hey, Lil, not feeling good? My throat hurts. Let's get you home." The drive back was quiet. Lily dozed in her car seat. Nathan's phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "This is Victoria. Hope Lily feels better." He texted back one-handed. "Thanks. Sorry about the abrupt exit." "Don't be. We'll talk soon." Home. Nathan carried Lily inside, got her settled on the couch with a blanket and cartoons, took her temperature again, 100.4 now. He gave her children's Tylenol, made her drink water, sat beside her, and tried not to think about everything that had just happened. "Dad? Yeah, Lil. Did you see Dr. Vale today?" Nathan's brain stuttered. "How did you... What? You smell like her perfume." "You did? How could Lily possibly..." "We had coffee," he admitted. "Just talking. Adult stuff. Do you like her?" Yeah, I think so." Lily nodded against his shoulder. "Good. She likes you too." "How do you know?" "She smiles different when she looks at you." Nathan had no response to that. His 4-year-old daughter was apparently more observant than every adult he knew combined. "Get some rest, Lil." "Okay." She
Fell asleep within minutes. Nathan sat there, Lily's head on his shoulder, his phone in his hand, trying to process the fact that his carefully controlled life had just tilted sideways. That evening, after Lily woke up hungry and ate half a bowl of soup before declaring herself full, after her fever broke and she seemed more herself, after bath and early bedtime, Nathan found himself staring at his phone. Victoria's text sat there. 3 sentences. Nothing profound. He typed, "She's doing better. Just a cold, I think." The response came within minutes. "Good. Kids are resilient. Yeah. She already asked me if I like you. What did you tell her?" Nathan stared at the screen, deleted 3 different responses, finally settled on the truth, which is that "I think I do." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "That's terrifying. Yeah, also maybe good, maybe?" He set the phone down, picked it up again, texted, "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "Why did you really say yes to coffee?" The response took longer this time. When it came, it was just 5 words. "Your daughter saw something I didn't." Nathan read it 3 times, typed, "What did she see?" "I'm still figuring that out." He smiled despite himself. "Let me know when you do. That might take a while. I've got time." The dots appeared and disappeared several times. Then, "I should let you get some sleep probably. Good night, Nathan. Good night, Victoria." He set the phone on the nightstand and lay back against pillows that desperately needed replacing. Through the wall, he could hear Lily's soft breathing from her room. Outside, traffic sounds filtered up from the street. His life had been stable for 3 years, predictable, safe. And now there was Victoria Vale, brilliant, guarded, probably leaving in 2 months, texting him good night like it was the most natural thing in the world. Nathan fell asleep smiling. The next morning, Lily's fever was completely gone. She woke up demanding pancakes and arguing about whether she
missed this, the healthy version of his daughter, full of opinions and energy. Drop-off went smoothly. Miss Patel looked pleased to see Lily back to normal. "Dad?" Nathan turned. Lily was sitting in the doorway, her backpack half falling off one shoulder. "Yeah? You should call Dr. Vale again." Miss Patel's eyebrows shot up. Nathan felt his face heat. "Get to class, Lil." "Just saying." She disappeared inside. Miss Patel was smiling in a way that suggested gossip would be spreading through the daycare within the hour. Work was marginally less unbearable than usual. Martin was out sick, which meant no surprise meetings. Nathan actually got through his task list before lunch. His phone buzzed around noon. "Victoria, how's Lily?" Nathan, back to her normal chaotic self. "Good. Kids bounce back fast. She told me this morning I should call you." "Smart kid. She's 4. She thinks dinosaurs are still alive. Are you saying I should doubt her judgment?" Nathan smiled at his phone. His desk neighbor Janet noticed. "What's that smile about?" "Nothing." "That's not a nothing smile. That's a someone smile. I'm smiling at an email." "Sure you are." He pocketed his phone before Janet could press further, but the smile lingered. That evening, Nathan did something he hadn't done in months. He called his sister. "Twice in 1 month?" Rachel answered. "Should I be worried? Can I just call to talk?" "You could, but you don't. What's going on?" Nathan took a breath. "I met someone." Silence on the other end. Then, "I'm sorry, what?" "I met someone. A woman.
We had coffee yesterday. Who is she? How did you meet? Why didn't you tell me immediately? Does Lily know? What's her name? That's 5 questions. I have 17 more. Start talking. So he did. The park, the evaluation, coffee, at the daily grind. Rachel listened without interrupting, which Nathan knew meant she was taking this seriously. And she's leaving in 2 months? Rachel asked when he finished. Probably. Nathan, I know. Do you? Because this sounds like a disaster in the making. It might be, but I'm doing it anyway. More silence. Then Rachel laughed. Okay. Who are you and what did you do with my brother? What's that supposed to mean? You're the king of playing it safe. You haven't taken a risk since I can't remember when. And now you're dating someone who's literally planning to leave? We're not dating. We had coffee once. You had coffee once and you're calling me about it? That's basically engaged by your
Standards. Nathan couldn't argue with that. Just, Rachel paused. Be careful. Okay, you and Lily, I don't want either of you hurt. I know, but also I'm happy for you, even if I think you're insane. Thanks. Anytime. Now, tell me more about her. What's she like? They talked for another 20 minutes. By the time Nathan hung up, Lily was pulling on his sleeve, asking about dinner. What do you want to eat, Lil? Pizza. We had pizza 3 days ago. So they compromised on chicken nuggets. After dinner, bath, and an extended negotiation about bedtime, Nathan found himself alone again with his phone. He texted Victoria. My sister thinks I'm insane. For what? This, whatever this is. Is she wrong? Probably not. Do you care? Nathan thought about it, typed. Not as much as I should. That's dangerous. Yeah. A pause. Then I have Friday off. Do you want to do something? Nathan's heart rate kicked up. Like what? I don't know. Normal date things. Dinner, movie. I'm terrible at this. Dinner sounds good, but I have to be home by 8. Babysitter. That works. I'll find a place. You don't have to. I want to. Let me do this part. Nathan smiled. Okay, it's a date then. Yeah, it's a date. Friday took 3 years to arrive, or that's what it felt like. Nathan went through the motions at work, picked up Lily, tried to act normal while his brain was already 3 days ahead. Thursday night, he stood in front of his closet again. This was becoming a pattern. What are you doing, Dad? Lily stood in his doorway, clutching her stuffed elephant, picking out clothes for tomorrow. Why? Because I'm having dinner with Dr. Vale. Like a date? Yeah, like a date. Lily considered this. You should wear the blue shirt. The blue one. It makes you look nice. Thanks, Lil. She patted over, wrapped her arms around his waist. I'm glad you like her. Me too, kiddo. She makes you smile more. Had he been smiling more? Maybe. Probably. Bedtime, he said, deflecting, but non-negotiable. Friday arrived. Work was impossible. Nathan checked the clock every 15 minutes. At 4:30, he gave up and left early, citing a personal appointment that Martin didn't question because Martin was already mentally checked out for the weekend. Home, shower, blue shirt, jeans that were actually clean. He picked up the babysitter at 5:30, a college student named Amy, who Lily adored and who charged reasonable rates. What time will you be back? Amy asked.
8, maybe 8:30 if traffic's bad. Take your time, we'll be fine. Lily was already showing Amy her new drawings. Nathan kissed his daughter's head, received a distracted wave in return, and left before he could overthink everything. The restaurant was downtown, a small Italian place Victoria had chosen. Nathan arrived 15 minutes early, sat in his car, tried to remember how dating worked. At exactly 6 o'clock, Victoria's car pulled up. She stepped out wearing a dark dress that hit just below her knees, her hair down, minimal makeup. Nathan's brain short-circuited, momentarily. He got out of his car. They met on the sidewalk. Hi, he said. Hi. You look really nice. Thank you. So do you. Blue's a good color. My daughter's fashion advice. Lily has good taste. They stood there for a beat too long. Then Victoria smiled, tentative but real. Should we go in? She asked. Yeah, let's go in. The restaurant was intimate, low lighting, small tables, the kind of place designed for conversation. They were seated near the back, menus appearing immediately. Nathan scanned the options, recognized approximately 3 things. Victoria ordered wine. Nathan ordered water because he was driving, and also because wine felt like it required a level of sophistication he didn't currently possess. You're nervous, Victoria observed. Is it that obvious? You're reading the menu upside down. Nathan looked down. She was right. He turned it around. I haven't done this in a while, he admitted. Neither have I. We can be nervous together. That helped somehow. They ordered. The food arrived. They ate and talked about nothing important at first. Work, weather, the fact that the restaurant's lighting made everyone look vaguely mysterious. But gradually, the conversation deepened. Victoria talked about her childhood, about growing up with parents who were older, who died within 6 months of each other when she was finishing graduate school, about inheriting money she'd never wanted and didn't know how to spend, about building a career as a form of purpose, a way to matter in ways that had nothing to do with her bank account. Nathan talked about Emma, about meeting her in a freshman literature class, about building a life that felt too small but also perfectly right, about Lily's birth, Emma's death, the 3 years since that had been simultaneously the hardest and most meaningful of his life. "Do you still love her?" Victoria asked quietly.
Yeah, but differently now. Like loving a memory instead of a person. That makes sense, does it? More than you'd think. They finished dinner. The waiter brought the check. Victoria reached for it immediately. "I can pay," Nathan said. "I know you can, but I want to. Let me, Victoria. Please. I have more money than I'll ever need, and dates are supposed to be gestures. Let me make the gesture." He relented. They left the restaurant and stood on the sidewalk where they'd met 2 hours earlier. "It's only 7:30, Victoria said. "I have until 8. Want to walk?" They walked. No destination, just movement through downtown streets that were busy with Friday night energy. They talked and didn't talk, fell into comfortable silences that felt less awkward than they should have. "Can I ask you something?" Nathan said eventually. "Always. If Seattle is the right move, if it's everything you've been working toward, why haven't you said yes yet?" Victoria was quiet for several steps. "Because for the first time in my life, I'm not sure if the right career move is the right life move." "What's the difference? Career moves are logical. Life moves are terrifying." Nathan stopped walking. Victoria stopped too, turned to face him. "I'm going to say
"Something," Nathan said, "and you can tell me if I'm completely out of line. Okay, I don't think you should stay for me or for this, whatever this is. 2 weeks doesn't earn that kind of sacrifice, Nathan. But I also think you should make sure you're choosing Seattle because you want it, not because it's easier than choosing something else." Victoria's expression was unreadable. "That's remarkably insightful. I've had 3 years to think about choice and inertia. I'm an expert at confusing the two." She stepped closer, close enough that Nathan could smell her perfume, the same scent Lily had apparently noticed days ago. "What if I don't know what I want?" Victoria asked. "Then maybe we figure it out together for however long we have. 2 months, maybe more, maybe less. That's not much time." "No, but it's more than we had yesterday." Victoria looked up at him. Nathan looked back. The street noise faded to background static. "I should get you home," she said finally. "Your babysitter's waiting." "Yeah." Neither of them moved. Then Victoria did something that surprised them both. She reached up, kissed him. Brief, tentative, a question more than a statement. Nathan kissed her back, longer, assertion in answer. When they pulled apart, Victoria was almost smiling. "That was probably a bad idea. Probably. We should definitely not do it again. Definitely not." They stood there grinning like idiots. "Walk me to my car?" Victoria asked. "Yeah." They walked back in silence. At her car, Victoria paused with her hand on the door. "Next week," she said, "you and Lily come to the aquarium with me, if that's not too forward. The 3 of us." "Yes." "Lily would love that." "Good. Sunday afternoon. We'll be there." Victoria got in her car. Nathan watched her drive away. Then he got in his own car and sat there for several minutes processing. He'd just kissed Victoria Vale. They were going to the aquarium Sunday. This was happening. Whatever this was, it was actually happening. His phone buzzed. "Amy, everything okay?" "It's 8:15. Nathan checked the time. Somehow he'd lost track completely. "On my way. Be there in 10. He drove home through Friday night traffic, mind spinning. Amy met him at the door, clearly curious but too polite to pry. She was great, already asleep. Nathan paid her, added extra for running late. After she left, he checked
On Lily, out cold, elephant clutched to her chest. He went to his room, lay down, picked up his phone, texted Victoria. "Home. Lily's asleep. Good. Thank you for tonight. Thank you." A pause. Then, "I'm scared, Nathan." His chest tightened. "Me too. What are we doing?" "No idea. But I want to keep doing it, even though I'm probably leaving. Even though you're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both." He could almost hear her laugh through the text. "Good night, Nathan. Good night." He set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. His stable, predictable life had completely derailed, and for the first time in 3 years, Nathan found himself hoping the track ahead stayed curved. Sunday arrived, wrapped in the kind of gray November sky that threatened rain but never quite delivered. Nathan woke to Lily standing beside his bed again, her face inches from his. "Is today the aquarium day?" He checked his phone. 6:45 in the morning. "Yes, Lil, but not until this afternoon." "How long is that?" "Many hours." "How many?" "Too many for you to be awake right now." She didn't move. just stared at him with an intensity that suggested sleep was no longer an option for either of them. "Fine, we're up." Lily cheered and ran off to her room. Nathan heard drawers opening, clothes hitting the floor. He dragged himself out of bed and found her standing in front of her closet, wearing mismatched pajamas and a look of deep concentration. "What should I wear to see fish?" "Regular clothes, Lil. But what if we get wet?" "We're not getting in the tanks." "But what if?" They settled on jeans and her favorite purple shirt with a unicorn on it. Nathan made breakfast while Lily provided running commentary on everything she knew about marine life, which was substantial and mostly inaccurate. "Sharks can smell fear, Dad." "I don't think that's true." "It's definitely true. I saw it on a show." "What show?" "I don't remember, but it was very educational." Nathan's phone buzzed. "Victoria, still on for 2 p.m.? He typed back, "Lily's been awake since 6:45 asking about it, so yes. Should I be nervous?" "Probably." "Great." Nathan smiled despite the anxiety that had been building since Friday night. The kiss, the aquarium plan, the fact that Victoria was choosing to spend Sunday afternoon with him and his daughter when she could be doing literally anything else. The morning crawled. Lily was too excited to focus on anything for more than 30 seconds.
They attempted a puzzle, gave up after 5 minutes, tried coloring. Lily drew approximately 15 fish and 3 things that might have been whales or submarines. It was hard to tell. "Is it time yet?" "It's 10:30, Lil. That's basically 2. It's not even close to 2. "Can we leave early?" "No." She sighed with her entire body. Nathan felt it. Lunch was a negotiation. Lily wanted candy. Nathan insisted on actual food. They compromised on a peanut butter sandwich that Lily ate half of before declaring herself full. At 1:30, Nathan gave up and started getting ready. He changed his shirt twice, brushed his teeth, tried to do something with his hair that looked intentional rather than like he'd just woken up, even though he'd been awake for 7 hours. "You look nervous, Dad." "I'm not nervous. Your face is doing the nervous thing." "What nervous thing?" "The thing where your eyebrows go up?" He forced his eyebrows down. Lily giggled. They left at 1:45. The aquarium was downtown, a 20-minute drive that Lily filled with questions Nathan couldn't possibly answer. "Do jellyfish have brains?" "I don't know." "Can octopuses open jars?" "Maybe." "Why are fish slippery?" "That's just how they are." "But why?" "I'll add it to the list of things to look up later." They arrived at 1:58. Nathan spotted Victoria's car already in the parking lot. His stomach did something complicated. "There she is," Lily pointed. Victoria stood near the entrance, wearing dark jeans and a gray sweater, her hair pulled back. She saw them and waved. Lily waved back enthusiastically enough to nearly hit Nathan in the face. They got out of the car. Lily ran ahead, stopped a few feet from Victoria, suddenly shy. "Hi, Lily." "Hi, Dr. Vale." "You can call me Victoria, if that's okay with your dad." Nathan caught up. "That's fine." "Hi," Victoria said to him. "Hi." They stood there looking at each other while Lily looked at both of them with an expression that suggested she knew exactly what was happening and found it amusing. "Should we go in?" Victoria asked. "Yes." Lily grabbed Victoria's hand without hesitation. Victoria looked surprised, then pleased. They walked toward the entrance, Lily between them, chattering about all the fish she wanted to see. The aquarium was busy. Sunday crowds, families everywhere, kids pressed against glass displays, shrieking at various marine life. Nathan had been here before with Lily, but it felt different now. Victoria moved
through the space with the same careful attention she'd shown during Lily's evaluation, reading every information placard, asking Lily questions that made her think. "Why do you think the starfish is that color?" Lily considered it seriously. "To hide? That's a good guess. What else? To look pretty? Also possible. Should we read what the sign says?" They read together. Nathan hung back slightly, watching them. Victoria crouched down to Lily's height, pointed at words. Let Lily sound them out. Patient, engaged, present. She's good at this, Nathan thought, better than she probably realized. They moved through exhibits, tropical fish in impossible colors, a touch tank where Lily was initially brave, then terrified when a sea star actually moved under her hand. Victoria didn't push, just stood beside her until Lily tried again. "It feels weird." "Yeah, it does. Do you like it?" "I'm not sure, but I'm glad I tried." They watched the sea turtles. Lily pressed her face against the glass, leaving nose prints Nathan would have normally told her not to make. But Victoria didn't seem to mind, so he didn't either. "They're so slow," Lily observed. "They live a long time, though," Victoria said. "Some sea turtles can live over 100 years. That's older than you." "Much older than me." "How old are you, Lily?"
Nathan interjected. That's rude. It's fine, Victoria said. I'm 30. That's pretty old. Thanks, Kit. Nathan winced. Victoria was trying not to smile. They found the jellyfish exhibit, a dark room with glowing tanks, jellyfish pulsing through water like living lava lamps. Lily was transfixed. Victoria stood beside her, and Nathan stood beside Victoria, and for several minutes, nobody said anything. They don't have brains, Victoria said quietly. What? Nathan asked. Jellyfish. Lily asked earlier if they have brains. They don't, just a nerve net. You heard that? I was already here when you pulled up. You two are not quiet. Nathan felt his face heat. Sorry. Don't be. It was endearing. Their hands were inches apart on the railing. Nathan's pinky finger moved slightly, touched hers. She didn't pull away. This was a good idea, Nathan said. Yeah? Yeah. Lily turned around. Can we see the sharks now? The shark tank was the main attraction, a massive cylindrical display you could walk under, sharks swimming overhead in slow, menacing circles. Lily stood directly beneath them, neck craned back, completely
Fearless. They're huge. They're also well fed, Victoria said, so you're safe. I'm not scared. I know you're not. Nathan watched a reef shark glide past, all muscle and prehistoric grace. I'm a little scared. That's because you're smarter than a 4-year-old, Victoria said. Debatable. They circled the tank. Lily ran ahead, then back, then ahead again, too excited to stay in one place. Nathan and Victoria followed at a slower pace. She's great, Victoria said, when she wants to be. I mean it. You're doing a good job. The compliment hit harder than it should have. Thanks. Most days I feel like I'm barely keeping it together. That's just parenting. Nobody knows what they're doing. Some people are just better at pretending. Is that from professional experience or personal observation? Both. They stopped at a bench near the exit of the shark exhibit. Lily was still enthralled, face pressed to the glass. Victoria sat. Nathan sat beside her. Can I ask you something? Victoria said. Always. What did Emma think about having more kids? The question surprised him. We talked about it before she got sick. She wanted 2, maybe 3. I was less sure. 1 felt like enough chaos. Do you still feel that way? I don't know. I haven't let myself think about it. He paused. Why? Victoria was quiet for a moment. I've spent my entire adult life avoiding anything that looks like traditional domesticity, career over relationships, independence over compromise. And now I'm sitting in an aquarium on a Sunday afternoon watching a 4-year-old look at sharks, and I'm not hating it. Is that surprising? Terrifying is more accurate. Why? Because if I like this, if I let myself want this, it makes Seattle a completely different decision. Nathan's chest tightened. Victoria, I know what you said about not staying for you, but what if I'm not staying for me? Because, for the first time, I'm not sure running toward the next thing is the same as running towards something better. I don't know what to say to that. You don't have to say anything. I'm just thinking out loud. Lily ran over breathless. Can we see the penguins? Absolutely, Victoria said, standing. Lead the way. The penguin exhibit was near the end. Glass walls showed the birds underwater and above, waddling around with the kind of purposeful clumsiness that made them universally beloved. Lily laughed at their swimming, at how fast they moved in water compared to land. They're so funny looking. They're doing their best, Victoria said. Do you think they know they're funny? Probably not. They just think they're regular penguins. That's sad. Is it? Maybe it's better not knowing. Nathan watched Victoria watch the penguins. She looked relaxed, more relaxed than he'd seen her since that first coffee, like she'd let something go, some tension she carried everywhere else. They spent another hour in the aquarium. The gift shop was inevitable. Lily wanted 17 things. Nathan said she could have 1. They compromised on 2. A stuffed sea turtle and a book about sharks. Outside, the gray sky had darkened. Still no rain, but it felt close. Thank you for coming, Victoria said to Lily. Thank you for inviting us. Want to get ice cream? There's a place around the corner. Lily looked at Nathan with hope that could power a small city. Sure, why not? The ice cream shop was tiny, barely room for 6 people. They ordered. Lily got chocolate with sprinkles.
Nathan got vanilla because he was boring. Victoria got something with caramel and sea salt that sounded complicated and expensive. They ate at a small table near the window. Lily got ice cream on her face, her hands, somehow her elbow. Nathan had come prepared with napkins. "You're good at this," Victoria observed. "Years of practice. Do you ever get tired of it? The constant maintenance, every single day? But then she does something that makes me forget I was tired." "Like what?" As if on cue, Lily looked up from her ice cream. "Dad, Victoria should come to Thanksgiving." Nathan choked on his vanilla. Victoria's spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. "Lil, you can't just invite people to Thanksgiving." "Why not?" "Because it's a family thing." "But you said we could have friends sometimes." "That was for your birthday party. This is better than a birthday party." Victoria was very carefully not looking at either of them. "It's okay," she said quietly. "Lily, that's really sweet, but I'm sure your dad already has plans." "We go to Aunt Rachel's," Lily said. "But she won't mind. She likes meeting new people." That was absolutely not true. Rachel was polite but territorial about holidays. But Nathan found himself saying, "Actually, if you
Don't have plans, you'd be welcome." Victoria's eyes met his. "Nathan, you don't have to. I know, but the offer is real if you want. I usually just order Chinese food and watch old movies." "That sounds depressing," Lily said. "Lily, what it does?" Victoria laughed. Actual laughter that sounded surprised to be escaping. "It is pretty depressing, honestly. So come to Aunt Rachel's. She makes good pie." "She makes adequate pie," Nathan corrected. "Better than no pie." Victoria looked between them. "Can I think about it?" "Sure," Nathan said. They finished their ice cream. Lily was starting to fade, the sugar high giving way to inevitable crash. They walked back to the parking lot through air that smelled like incoming rain. "Thank you for today," Nathan said. "This was really nice." "It was. I had fun." "So did we." Lily was already buckled into her car seat, eyes half closed. Nathan stood by his car, Victoria by hers, neither moving to leave. "Can I see you this week?" Victoria asked. "Yeah, when?" "Wednesday, after you put Lily to bed. You want to come over if that's okay." "It's more than okay." She smiled. "Good, 8:30. I'll be ready." Victoria got in her car. Nathan watched her pull out of the parking lot before getting into his own. Lily was already asleep. He drove home through streets that were starting to glisten with the rain that had finally decided to fall. That night, after carrying Lily inside and getting her into pajamas without fully waking her, after the apartment was quiet and dark, Nathan sat on the couch with his phone. Victoria had texted. "I had a really good time today," he typed back. "So did we. Lily hasn't stopped talking about you." "What's she saying?" "That you're nice and you know a lot about fish. High praise from a 4-year-old. The highest." A pause then. "I'm seriously considering Thanksgiving." "No pressure. I know. But I want to. Is that weird?" "Probably. But I want you there so we can be weird together. Your family's going to have questions. My sister always has questions. You'll survive. Promise?" "Promise." Nathan set the phone down and let himself sit with the fact that Victoria Ville was considering Thanksgiving with his family. A woman who'd walked past him in a park a month ago was now embedded in his life in ways he couldn't have predicted. The days between Sunday and Wednesday felt both too fast and too slow. Work was relentless. Martin was back and in rare form. The Riverside account was somehow getting worse, and Nathan spent Tuesday in back-to-back meetings that could have been emails. He picked up Lily Tuesday evening to find her subdued. "You okay, Lil?" "Sophie wasn't at school today." "Who's Sophie?" "My friend with the unicorn backpack. She's sick. She'll probably be back tomorrow." "But what if she's not?" The anxiety in her voice was familiar. Emma's death had left marks on Lily that Nathan sometimes forgot about until they surfaced unexpectedly. "Then she'll be back the day after. People get sick sometimes. It doesn't mean something bad. Promise." "Promise." That night, Lily needed extra reassurance. 2 stories became 3. Nathan lay beside her until she fell asleep, her small hand wrapped around his finger. Wednesday arrived with its own anxiety. Nathan cleaned the apartment after putting Lily to bed. Not deep cleaning, but enough that it didn't look like a disaster zone. He changed shirts 3 times, looked at the clock. 8:15. The knock came at 8:30 exactly. Nathan opened the door. Victoria stood there, holding a bottle of wine and looking uncertain in a way that was somehow endearing. "Hi. Hi. Come in." She stepped inside, looked around. Nathan tried to see the apartment through her eyes. The sagging couch, the kid toys in a bin by the TV, the water stain on the ceiling he still hadn't fixed. Evidence of a life that was functional but far from impressive. "It's small," he said, "but it's home. It's nice. It feels lived in." That's a polite way of saying cluttered. "I meant it as a compliment. My places always look like I'm about to move out." "Are you usually?" "Usually. Yeah." She handed him the wine. Nathan took it, gestured toward the couch.
"Want to sit?" They sat. Not quite touching, but close. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic sounds. "Is Lily asleep?" "Out cold. She was asking about you today." "What did she ask?" "If you were coming over, if you liked Slee Turtles, if you're going to Thanksgiving." "What did you tell her?" "That yes, you're coming over. I assume you like sea turtles, and I wasn't sure about Thanksgiving." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "I called Seattle today." Nathan's stomach dropped. "And?" "I asked for more time. They weren't thrilled, but they gave me until December 15th. That's 3 weeks? I know. Is that enough time to figure out what I want? Probably not."
But it's what I have. Nathan opened the wine, poured 2 glasses, even though he rarely drank. They needed something to do with their hands. "Can I be honest about something?" Victoria said. "Please. I'm terrified I'm going to hurt you. Both of you. I keep waiting for the moment when this stops feeling new and starts feeling hard, and then I'll run, because that's what I do, and you and Lily will be collateral damage." "You think I'm not terrified?" "Victoria, I've spent 3 years building walls. You walked past a playground once, and my daughter saw something I was too scared to look for. Now you're here in my apartment, and I'm drinking wine at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday, and everything feels unstable in ways I can't control." "Then why are we doing this?" "Because maybe unstable isn't the same as wrong." Victoria took a drink. "That's either very wise or very stupid. I'm starting to think they're the same thing." She almost smiled. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Victoria said, "Tell me about Emma. What do you want to know?" "Anything, everything. I need to understand who she was." So Nathan told her about meeting Emma in a college classroom where she'd corrected the professor on a point about Hemingway, about their first date at a Caribou restaurant they'd laughed about for years, about the pregnancy that had been unplanned but welcome, about Emma's practical approach to life, her lack of sentimentality, her absolute conviction that most problems could be solved with enough coffee and stubbornness. "She sounds like she would have hated me," Victoria said. "What? Why?" "Because I overthink everything. She sounds like someone who just did things." "She did, but she also would have recognized someone similar. You're more like her than you think. How you both hide behind
Competence. Emma used to say the hardest thing about being sick was people treating her like she was fragile when she was still the same person, just with a broken body. She hated pity. I would too. I know. That's why I think you would have understood each other." Victoria sat down her wine glass. "Do you still see her in Lily every day? The way she argues, her expressions, how she processes things by talking through them out loud? It's like having pieces of Emma still here, just remixed. Is that hard?" "Sometimes, but mostly it's good. Means Emma didn't just disappear." They talked for another hour about Victoria's parents, her father, who'd been a judge, her mother, who taught literature, about the money she'd inherited and never wanted, how it had felt like a weight rather than freedom, about her string of short-term positions, always moving before anyone expected her to stay. "I think I've been running from the possibility of being needed," Victoria said, "because being needed means someone can lose you or you can lose them, and loss is just, it's the worst thing." "Yeah," Nathan said quietly. "It is. How do you do it? Risk it again?" "I don't know that I am. Risking it? I mean, we have 8 weeks. Maybe that's not enough time to really lose someone." "Isn't it?" Nathan looked at her. "Are you saying you'd miss me if you left?" "I'm saying I'm already trying to figure out how to not miss you when I do." The honesty of it hit him square in the chest. "Victoria, I should go. It's late." She stood. Nathan stood too. They walked to the door, Victoria grabbing her coat from where she draped it over a chair. "Thank you for tonight," she said. "Thank you for coming." She paused with her hand on the doorknob. "Nathan." "Yeah. I'm coming to Thanksgiving if the offer is still open." "It's open." "Okay. Then I'll be there." She left. Nathan stood in the doorway watching her walk down the hall, waiting until she turned the corner before closing the door. He cleaned up the wine glasses, turned off the lights, checked on Lily, who was still sleeping. Then he lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Processing. 8 weeks? Maybe less if Victoria decided early. Maybe more if she asked for another extension. It wasn't much time, but it was something. His phone buzzed. "Victoria, I'm home. Thanks again, Nathan. Anytime. I mean it. Tonight was important. Yeah.
Sleep. Well, Nathan, you too. He set the phone down and closed his eyes. Somewhere in the building, someone was playing music. Outside, the city continued its constant hum. And in the apartment, Nathan fell asleep thinking about a woman who was probably leaving but might stay, and about the fact that 8 weeks could be everything or nothing, depending on what they chose to make it. The next morning, he called Rachel. "I'm bringing someone to Thanksgiving." Silence. Then, the woman from the coffee date. "Victoria." "Yeah." "Nathan, are you sure? That's a big step." "I know. And she's still planning to leave. She hasn't decided yet, but probably yes." "Probably." More silence. Then Rachel sighed. "Okay. Bring her. But if this blows up in your face, I'm going to say I told you so." "Noted." "What's she like?" "Smart. Guarded. Good with Lily. Rich in ways that make me uncomfortable." "Rich how?" "Inherited trust fund rich. Owns properties in multiple cities rich. And she's dating you." "Thanks for the vote of confidence." "I'm just saying that's a weird match. Everything about this is weird. I've accepted it." Rachel laughed. "Fair enough. Tell her dinner's at 3 and bring wine. The fancy kind, since apparently she can afford it. I'll let her know." He hung up and immediately texted Victoria. "Thanksgiving is at 3. My sister requests you bring fancy wine." "How fancy?" "Whatever fancy means in your world. I'll figure it out." "Should I be nervous?" "Extremely. My sister is protective and nosy." "Great. Can't wait." "You can still back out." "Not a chance." Nathan smiled at his phone. Around him, the office buzzed with pre-holiday energy. People were already planning their time off, talking about travel plans and family obligations. Nathan had the same obligations. But now they came with complications. Good complications, he thought. But complications nonetheless. Friday was Lily's last day of daycare before the holiday break. She came home wired and full of stories about the Thanksgiving craft they'd made. Handprint turkeys that were supposed to look festive, but mostly looked like colorful disasters. "Can we put it on the fridge?" "Of course. Victoria should see it when she comes for Thanksgiving." "She will." "Do you think she'll like it?" "I think she'll love it because you made it." Lily considered this. "Dad." "Yeah, Lil. Are you going to marry Victoria?"
Nathan nearly dropped the plate he was holding. "What? No. We've known each other for a month. So people don't get married after a month. Why not? Because that's not how it works. But you like her. I do. And she likes you. I think so. And I like her. I know you do. So why can't you marry her?" Nathan sat down at the table. Lily climbed into this chair across from him, her turkey handprint between them. "Marriage is complicated, Lily. It's not just about liking someone. It's about building a whole life together. And Victoria might be leaving soon. She has a job offer in Seattle. Is Seattle far? Pretty far. So she'd leave us." The way Lily said it, simple, direct, already understanding loss in ways 4-year-olds shouldn't have to, made Nathan's chest hurt. "Maybe? We don't know yet. Did you ask her to stay? It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because people have to make their own choices. I can't ask her to give up something important for us when we've only known each other a few weeks." Lily was quiet then. But what if she wants to stay and she just doesn't know it yet? Nathan had no answer for that. His daughter's ability to cut through complexity and hit truth was both impressive and devastating. "Maybe," he said finally. "We'll see." "You always say that." "Because it's always true." That night, after Lily was in bed, Nathan found himself looking at Seattle real estate online. Not seriously, just looking, seeing what kind of place Victoria might be moving to, what her life might look like there. The apartments were nice, expensive, modern, everything his place wasn't. He closed the laptop, feeling worse than when he'd opened it. His phone buzzed. "Victoria." Random question. "What's Lily's favorite color, Nathan?" "Purple." "Why?" "No reason. Just curious." "You're getting her a Thanksgiving gift, aren't you?" "Maybe." "You don't have to do that." "I know. I want to." Nathan smiled. Despite the lingering anxiety from the Seattle search, "She's going to love whatever it is." "I hope so. See you Thursday, 3. Don't be late." "I'm never late. I've noticed." "Is that a compliment or an observation?" "Both." "I'll take it." "Good night, Nathan." "Good night." Thanksgiving morning arrived cold and bright. Lily woke up excited. Nathan woke up anxious. And together they prepared to spend the day with family
and a woman who was either becoming part of their lives or about to exit them entirely. The not
Knowing, Nathan thought as he made coffee, was its own special kind of torture. But there was no way forward except through, so through is where they'd go. Rachel's house sat in a neighborhood that had gentrified just enough to be expensive, but not enough to be pleasant. The lawn needed mowing, the shutters needed paint. But inside it smelled like turkey and something cinnamon, and that was all that mattered on Thanksgiving. Nathan pulled up at 2:45 with Lily practically vibrating in her car seat. "Is Victoria here yet? I don't see her car. What if she doesn't come?" "She'll come. She said she would. But what if, Lil, she'll come." They got out. Lily ran ahead to the door, already knocking before Nathan caught up. Rachel opened it, wearing an apron that said, "I'm thankful for wine," and an expression that suggested she'd already had some. "You're early." 15 minutes isn't early. "It is for you." Rachel looked past him. "Where's the girlfriend?" "She's not my girlfriend, and she'll be here." "Uh-huh." Rachel bent down to Lily. "Hey, kiddo, want to help me with the rolls?" Lily disappeared inside. Nathan followed, carrying the store-bought pie he'd picked up because he couldn't cook to save his life. The house was already full. Rachel's husband, Tom, on the couch watching football, their 2 kids somewhere upstairs making noise that suggested either play or murder, and Rachel's mother-in-law, Helen, in the kitchen doing something complicated with sweet potatoes. "Nathan," Helen called, "come tell me if this needs more brown sugar." He tasted what she offered. "It's perfect." "You're lying, but I appreciate it." The doorbell rang at exactly 3 o'clock. Nathan felt his pulse kick up. Rachel was already heading for the door, giving him a look that clearly said this was her house and she'd answer it. Victoria stood on the porch holding a bag that probably cost more than Nathan's monthly rent, wearing dark pants and a cream sweater that made her look put together in ways that felt slightly intimidating. She smiled when she saw Rachel. "You must be Nathan's sister. I'm Victoria." Rachel shook her hand, assessing. "Rachel, come in. You brought wine." 2 bottles. I wasn't sure what you preferred." Rachel pulled out the first bottle. Her eyebrows went up. "This is a $200 bottle, is it?" Victoria said it like she genuinely didn't know, which somehow made it worse. "Okay then."
Rachel set it on the counter carefully, like it might explode. "We'll save this for after dinner when I can appreciate it properly." Victoria stepped further inside. Lily appeared from the kitchen, face covered in flour. "You came?" "Of course I came. I promised, didn't I?" Lily launched herself at Victoria, who caught her in a hug that looked slightly awkward but genuine. When she sat Lily down, there was flour on her sweater. She didn't seem to care. "I brought you something," Victoria said, "if that's okay with your dad." Nathan nodded. Victoria pulled out a wrapped package, purple paper with silver ribbons. Lily tore into it with the efficiency of someone who'd had years of practice. Inside was a stuffed penguin, the kind from aquarium fix shops, except larger and clearly expensive. "It's like the ones we saw. I noticed you like them." "I love it." Lily hugged the penguin, then hugged Victoria again. "Thank you." "You're welcome." Rachel was watching this with an expression Nathan couldn't quite read. Tom had wandered over from the couch, football temporarily forgotten. "I'm Tom, Rachel's husband. Victoria, nice to meet you. You're the doctor, right? Nathan mentioned you work with kids. Developmental specialist. Close enough." Helen emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "Well, don't just stand there. Someone get this woman a drink. Dinner's in 20 minutes and I need everyone out of my kitchen." They migrated to the living room. Nathan sat on the couch. Victoria sat beside him, close enough that their knees almost touched. Lily wedged herself between them, penguin clutched tight. "So, Victoria," Rachel said, settling into the armchair with a wine glass that was definitely not her first. "Nathan says you're from Seattle originally. Portland, actually. I've lived a lot of places. Where else? San Francisco for a year, Seattle for 2, a few months in Denver, 6 months here now. You move around a lot." "I do." "Why?" Nathan shot Rachel a look. She ignored it. Victoria didn't seem bothered. "Work mostly. I go where interesting opportunities are. And is there an interesting opportunity here, or are you already planning the next move?" "Rachel," Nathan said quietly. "What?" "I'm just asking." Victoria's expression remained neutral. "There's an opportunity in Seattle. I haven't decided yet." "When do you need to decide?" "Mid-December."
"That's 3 weeks. I'm aware." Rachel took a drink. "Must be nice having options." Tom put a hand on Rachel's knee. Easy." "I'm being easy. I'm making conversation." Helen called from the kitchen that dinner was ready. Everyone stood, grateful for the interruption. They moved to the dining room where the table was already set. Turkey in the center, surrounded by dishes that ranged from traditional to experimental. Nathan ended up between Lily and Victoria. Rachel sat across from them, still watching Victoria with an intensity that made Nathan want to kick her under the table. They passed dishes, filled plates. Helen said a brief thank you to no one in particular, and they started eating. "This is really good," Victoria said after her first bite of turkey. "Helen's been making Thanksgiving dinner for 30 years, Tom said. "She's got it down to a science." "Science and stubbornness," Helen corrected. "Mostly stubbornness." Conversation flowed around the table. Rachel's kids, Maya and Ben, 8 and 6, started arguing about whether stuffing or mashed potatoes were better. Lily announced that penguins were her new favorite animal, displacing dolphins.
Tom asked Nathan about work, and Nathan gave vague answers because work was boring and he didn't want to think about it. So, Victoria, Rachel said during a lull, what made you decide to work with kids? Victoria set down her fork. I like that they're honest. Adults spend so much energy pretending. Kids just tell you what they think, even when it's rude, especially then. Lily's good at that, Rachel said, smiling at her niece. Remember when she told Mrs. Patterson her hair looked like a bird's nest? It did, Lily said matter-of-factly. Everyone laughed except Nathan, who remembered having to apologize to Mrs. Patterson for 20 minutes. Do you want kids? Rachel asked Victoria. The table went quiet. Nathan felt Victoria tense beside him. Rachel, he said, that's personal. It's a normal question. It's invasive. It's fine, Victoria said quietly. She looked at Rachel directly. I never thought I did. I've spent my whole career around children and that felt like enough. But lately, I'm not sure what changed. Victoria glanced at Lily, then at Nathan. Perspective, maybe. Rachel held her gaze for a moment longer, then nodded. Fair enough. The tension broke. Conversation resumed, but Nathan felt the weight of what Victoria had said, the implication hanging there like smoke. After dinner, the adults moved to the living room while the kids went upstairs to play. Helen started on dishes. Despite everyone's protests, Nathan helped clear the table, Victoria beside him carrying plates to the kitchen. I'm sorry about Rachel, he said quietly. She's protective. She loves you. That's not a bad thing. She was grilling you. I've had worse. Victoria rinsed a plate, handed it to him. She's scared I'm going to hurt you. Are you? I don't want to, but I might anyway. They finished clearing in silence. In the living room, Rachel had opened the expensive wine. She poured glasses for everyone, handed one to Victoria. I feel like I should apologize for earlier, Rachel said. You don't need to. I was being nosy. You were being a sister. I get it. Rachel studied her for a moment. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone more polished. You seem normal. Victoria almost smiled. I am normal, just with more money that I know what to do with. Must be a terrible problem. You'd be surprised. They sat. Nathan on the couch, Victoria beside him again, Rachel in her chair, watching them like she was waiting for something to happen. The wine was as good as its price tag suggested. They talked about nothing important, holiday traditions, terrible gifts they'd received, whether pie was better than cake. Around 6, Victoria's phone buzzed. She checked it and Nathan saw her expression shift, something tightening around her eyes. Everything okay? Seattle. They're asking for an update. On Thanksgiving? Apparently the research director doesn't celebrate holidays. She stood. I should take this. Excuse me. She stepped outside. Through the window, Nathan could see her on the porch, phone to her ear, her free hand gesturing in that way it did when she was frustrated. She's going to leave, Rachel said quietly. You don't know that, Nathan. Come on. Look at her. Look at this house. Look at your life. You think she's going to give up a career-defining opportunity in Seattle to stay here with you? I'm not asking her to. Maybe you should. That's not fair to her. And it's fair to Lily to let her get attached to someone who's already planning her exit. Nathan felt anger spike. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't thought about this every single day since I met her?
Then why are you doing it? Because Lily pointed at a stranger in a park and said, marry her. And somehow that stranger is sitting in your living room drinking wine, and it feels right in ways I can't explain. So yeah, maybe she leaves. Maybe this blows up exactly like you think it will. But maybe it doesn't. And I'm tired of living like everything's already decided. Rachel was quiet. Then she reached over and squeezed his hand. Okay. I'll shut up. But if she breaks your heart, I'm driving to Seattle to slash her tires. That's illegal. I'm aware. Victoria came back inside. Her expression was carefully neutral. Sorry about that. Work stuff? Nathan asked. They want a decision by Monday. The room went very still. Monday, Nathan repeated. That's 4 days. I know. Can you ask for more time? I tried. They have other candidates. If I don't commit, they're moving on. Nathan felt the ground shift under him. 4 days. That's all they had left. I should probably go, Victoria said. Let you finish your family evening. You don't have to. I do. I need to think. She looked at Rachel, at Tom, at Helen, who'd appeared from the kitchen. Thank you for having me. Dinner was wonderful. You're leaving? Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, penguin under her arm. Just for tonight, sweetie. I'll see you soon. Promise?
Victoria hesitated for half a second. Promise? Nathan walked her to the door. Outside, the temperature had dropped. Their breath made clouds in the air. I'm sorry, Victoria said. I didn't mean to make tonight weird. You didn't. Seattle made it weird. Same thing. Victoria, don't. Please don't ask me to stay. Not yet. I need to figure this out on my own. I'm not asking you to stay. I'm asking you not to disappear. She looked up at him. I don't want to, but I'm scared that's what I do. Then don't do it this time. It's not that simple. Why not? Because staying means I think this could actually work. And if I'm wrong, if I give up Seattle and this falls apart anyway, then I've lost everything for nothing. Nathan felt something crack in his chest. Is that what we are to you? A gamble? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Victoria closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were bright with something that looked like tears, though she didn't let them fall. I meant that I've never wanted to stay anywhere before, and wanting it terrifies me more than leaving ever has.
She got in her car before he could respond. Nathan stood on Rachel's porch, watching her taillights disappear, feeling like he'd just lost something he'd barely started to have. He went back inside. Rachel took one look at his face and poured him more wine. You okay? No. Fair enough. Lily came downstairs, sensing something wrong, the way kids always did. Did Victoria leave? Yeah, Lil, she had to go home. Is she coming back? Nathan picked her up, held her close. I don't know. That night, after they got home and Lily was in bed, Nathan sat in the dark living room staring at his phone. No texts, no calls, just silence where Victoria used to be. He wanted to reach out, wanted to text something that would fix this, make it easier, but there was nothing to say that wouldn't sound like pressure, and Victoria had asked him not to push. So he sat there, waiting, wondering if Monday would bring a decision, or just confirmation of what he already knew, that some people were built for staying, and others weren't, and no amount of wanting could change which category you fell into. Friday morning, Nathan woke to his phone ringing. He grabbed it without checking the caller ID. Hello. It's me. Victoria's voice was rough, like she hadn't slept. Can we talk? Yeah, of course. Not on the phone. Can you meet me? The park. Our bench. When? Now. Nathan looked at the clock. 7:15. I need to get Lily to daycare first. 9:30. Okay, I'll be there. She hung up. Nathan lay there for a minute processing. Then he got up and started the morning routine on autopilot. Lily sensed his distraction. You're being...
Weird. Dad. Just tired.
If I stay and this doesn't work, if I have to leave anyway, I'll break her heart. And if you leave now, you'll break it anyway. She already cares about you. That's what I'm afraid of. A woman walked past with a stroller, 2 teenagers on skateboards, the world moving forward while they sat frozen in this moment. Can I tell you something? Nathan said. Please. When Emma died, I decided I was done. Done with love, done with risk, done with anything that could hurt that badly again. And then my 4-year-old daughter pointed at you and said, marry her. And I thought she was crazy. But she saw something I couldn't. She saw that you can't actually live by avoiding pain. You just end up avoiding everything else, too. Victoria was crying now, tears running down her face that she didn't bother wiping away. I don't know how to do this, she said. Neither do I. But we cannot know together. She laughed through the tears. That's a terrible plan. Got a better one? No. They sat there, hands linked, while Victoria cried and Nathan held steady, and the morning got lighter around them. Finally, Victoria took a shaky breath. I need to make some calls to Seattle, to Seattle, to my landlord in San Francisco, to the property manager in Portland, to a lot of people who are going to think I've lost my mind. Have you? Probably, but I'm doing it anyway. Nathan felt something expand in his chest. Hope, maybe, or just relief that the waiting was over. When? He asked. Today, now, before I can change my mind. You won't. How do you know? Because you're terrified and you're doing it anyway. That's not changing your mind. That's being brave. Victoria kissed him. Right there on the bench in the park where this had all started, she kissed him like she was trying to prove something to herself. When they pulled apart, she was smiling despite the tears. I'm staying. Yeah, I'm actually doing this. I'm staying. Nathan pulled her close. She rested her head on his shoulder, and they sat there while the park filled up around them, while the sun climbed higher,
while life continued its relentless forward motion. I should call them now, Victoria said eventually, before I lose my nerve. Want me to stay? Yes, please. She pulled out her phone, dialed. It rang twice before someone answered. Dr. Matthews, it's Victoria Vale. I know you're waiting on my decision. She paused. I'm declining the offer. I'm
Staying in my current position. Nathan couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but he could see Victoria's face, determined, certain, maybe a little scared, but holding firm. I understand. Yes, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. She hung up, stared at the phone like she couldn't believe what she'd just done. I did it. You did it. I just turned down the job I've wanted my entire career. Yeah. For a relationship that's barely a month old? Yeah? I'm insane? Probably. She started laughing, real laughter that sounded slightly unhinged but genuine. Nathan laughed too, and they sat there on the bench laughing like idiots while people walking past gave them strange looks. What now? Victoria asked when they had calmed down. Now we figure out what staying looks like. I don't even know where to start. How about breakfast? Have you eaten? Not since yesterday. Then breakfast. We'll figure out the rest later. They stood. Victoria looked around the park, the playground, the path where she'd walked that first day, the bench that had somehow become important. This is where it started, she said. Yeah? Lily pointed at me and said marry her. She did. She's a weird kid. The weirdest. I love her anyway. Nathan felt his throat tighten. Yeah? Me too. They walked to the parking lot, hand in hand. Victoria followed Nathan to a diner he knew. Nothing fancy, just coffee and eggs and the kind of comfort food you needed after making life-changing decisions before 9 a.m. They ordered 8. Victoria made more calls. Her landlord in Portland, a friend in San Francisco, her accountant, who apparently handled her various properties. Each call was another bridge burned, another piece of her old life dismantled. I'm actually doing this, she kept saying between calls. I'm actually staying. Having second thoughts, constantly, but I'm staying anyway. They spent the rest of the morning together, walking, talking, planning nothing, because neither of them knew what came next. At noon, Nathan had to pick up Lily from her half-day program. Come with me, he asked. To pick her up? Yeah. Is that okay? Won't people talk? Probably, but I don't care. Victoria smiled. Okay, let's go. They drove to the daycare. Miss Patel did a double take when she saw them together, but she was professional enough not to comment. Lily ran out, saw Victoria, and her entire
face lit up. You're here. I'm here. Are you staying for the whole day? If that's okay with your dad? It's okay with me, Nathan said. Then I'm staying. Lily grabbed Victoria's hand. They walked to the car together. Nathan, Victoria, and Lily, looking for all the world like a family, even though they'd barely started figuring out what that meant. That evening, after pizza and a movie that Lily mostly ignored in favor of showing Victoria every single toy she owned, after bath time and stories, and finally getting Lily to sleep, Nathan and Victoria sat on the sagging couch in his small apartment. This is my life, Nathan said. This apartment, this kid, this routine, it's not glamorous. I don't need glamorous. You have properties in 4 cities. This place has a ceiling leak, so we'll fix the ceiling leak. If you'll have me. Nathan pulled her closer. Yeah, I'll have you. They sat in comfortable silence. Through the wall, they could hear Lily's soft breathing. Outside, the city hummed its constant song. I'm still scared, Victoria admitted. Good, me too. What if I'm terrible at this? Then you'll be terrible at it with me, and we'll figure it out. What if... Stop. We can what if ourselves into paralysis, or we can just see what happens. She exhaled slowly. Okay, we'll see what happens. That's all I'm asking. Victoria's phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again. You should check that. She did. Her expression shifted. What is it? The director at the pediatric center here. He heard I turned down Seattle. He's offering me a promotion. Department head. More funding, more autonomy, better salary. That's great. It's weird timing. Or perfect timing. Victoria looked at him. You think? I think maybe staying doesn't mean giving up everything. Maybe it just means choosing what matters more. She kissed him, long and slow and certain. Thank you, she said. For what? For being patient? For not pushing? For letting me figure this out? That's what you do when you care about someone. Is that what this is? Caring? Yeah, I think it might be more than that, but we can start with caring. Victoria smiled, settled against his shoulder. They stayed like that until she fell asleep, and Nathan sat there, holding her, thinking about how his stable, predictable life had become something else entirely, something uncertain and complicated and somehow exactly right. His phone buzzed quietly.
Rachel, did she decide? Nathan typed back one-handed. She's staying. Are you serious? Completely. Holy. Yeah. You know what this means? What? You're actually dating someone? Like for real? With future implications? I know. And you're okay with that? Nathan looked at Victoria, sleeping against him, at the apartment that suddenly felt less like a temporary space and more like home, at the life that was forming around them without permission, but with undeniable momentum. Yeah, he typed. I'm okay with that. Rachel sent back a string of emojis that Nathan couldn't fully interpret, but understood meant she was happy for him. He set the phone down. Victoria stirred, blinked awake. Did I fall asleep? Just for a few minutes. I should go home. You could stay. She looked at him. Yeah, if you want. What about Lily in the morning? We'll figure it out. We seem to be good at that. Victoria smiled. Okay. I'll stay. They moved to Nathan's bedroom. Nothing happened except sleep. They were both too exhausted for anything else. But lying there with Victoria beside him, in the bed he'd slept alone in for 3 years, felt like its own kind of declaration. This was happening. This was real. And whatever came next, they were in it together. Nathan fell asleep thinking about a 4-year-old who'd pointed at a stranger and changed everything, about timing and chance, and the way life sometimes gave you exactly what you needed when you least expected it. In the morning, Lily would wake up and find Victoria there. They'd have breakfast together, start building the routines that turned separate lives into shared ones. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, Nathan just held on to what he had and let himself believe it might actually last. Morning came too early. Nathan woke to sunlight streaming through curtains he kept forgetting to replace, and the sound of small feet padding down the hallway. He had approximately 3 seconds to register that Victoria was still asleep beside him before his bedroom door opened. Lily stood in the doorway, penguin under one arm, staring at them with an expression Nathan couldn't quite read. Hi, Lil. Victoria's here. Yeah, she stayed over. Lily processed this. Then instead of the questions Nathan expected, she just climbed onto the bed and wedged herself between them. Victoria stirred, blinked awake, and found herself face to face with a 4-year-old. Good morning, Victoria said, voice rough with sleep.
Good morning. Are you staying forever now? Victoria glanced at Nathan over Lily's head. He shrugged. Your call? Not forever, Victoria said carefully, but for a while. Is that okay? Yeah. Can we have pancakes? I don't know how to make pancakes. Dad does. They're not very good, but they're okay. Thanks for the endorsement, Lil, Nathan said. They got up. Nathan made coffee while Victoria sat at the kitchen table looking slightly overwhelmed by the chaos that was a Saturday morning with a 4-year-old. Lily showed her the new drawing she'd started. 3 figures again, this time with a house and what might have been a dog or a very large cat. Is that us? Victoria asked. Yeah, that's you, that's Dad, that's me, and that's the dog we're getting. We're not getting a dog, Nathan said from the stove. We should get a dog. We've talked about this, but now there's 2 of you. 2 adults means we can get a dog. Victoria was trying not to smile. That's not how it works. That's what Dad said, but I think you're both wrong. Pancakes were served. They were, as advertised, okay, but not great. Victoria ate them anyway, and Nathan fell a little more in love with her for not pretending they were better than they were. After breakfast, Victoria went home to change. Lily immediately turned to Nathan with an expression of pure satisfaction. She stayed over. She did. That means she's your girlfriend now. That's not... It's more complicated than that. Why do adults always say things are complicated? Because they are. She stayed over, Dad. That's not complicated. That's simple. Nathan couldn't actually argue with that logic. Victoria came back an hour later with an overnight bag, which apparently she decided was necessary, despite not discussing it with Nathan first. He didn't mind. It felt like progress. They spent the weekend doing aggressively normal things. Saturday morning at the park, their bench. Lunch at the diner where they'd gone after Victoria made her decision. Grocery shopping because Nathan's refrigerator was embarrassingly empty. Sunday was quieter. Victoria helped Lily with a school project that wasn't due for 2 weeks, but that Lily had suddenly decided was urgent. Nathan watched them work at the kitchen table, heads bent together over construction paper and glue, and felt something settle in his
chest that had been restless for 3 years. Dad, we need more purple. We don't have more purple. Victoria said we could go get some. Did she now? Victoria looked up, sheepish. I might have promised that. They went to the craft store. Lily filled a basket with supplies they definitely didn't need. Victoria paid before Nathan could stop her. You don't have to keep buying things. I know. I want to. Victoria, let me do this, please. I'm still figuring out how to be part of this, and buying overpriced craft supplies is helping." He relented. They drove home with Lily chattering from the back seat about her project, about school, about whether penguins could survive in their apartment if they got a very large bathtub. That night, after Lily was asleep, Nathan and Victoria sat on the couch with wine that wasn't $200 a bottle and talked about logistics. "I should probably give up my apartment," Victoria said. "The lease is month to month anyway." "You could, or you could keep it as a backup." "A backup for what?" "In case this doesn't work." Victoria sat down on wine. "Are you having second thoughts?" "No, but you might, and I don't want you to feel trapped." "Nathan, I turned down Seattle. I gave up properties in 3 cities. I burned budgets I spent 15 years building. If I was going to feel trapped, it would have happened by now." "Just saying the options there. I don't want a backup plan. Backup plans are for people who aren't sure. I'm sure." Yeah. She paused, terrified, but sure. "That seems to be our default state. Could be worse." They fell into a routine over the next few weeks. Victoria stayed over most nights. She kept clothes in Nathan's closet, toiletries in the bathroom. She learned to make eggs the way Lily liked them. She fixed the ceiling leak by hiring someone to fix the ceiling leak, which Nathan protested until Victoria pointed out that he'd been complaining about it for a year and she'd solved it in 48 hours. Work shifted. Victoria took the promotion at the pediatric center. Nathan continued to hate his job, but hated slightly less because he had something to come home to now besides exhaustion. Rachel remained skeptical but warming. She invited them to dinner again to make up for Thanksgiving, she said, though Nathan suspected it was more about assessing whether this thing was real. They went. It was less tense than Thanksgiving, but still not exactly relaxed. "So you're really staying?"
Rachel said to Victoria while Nathan helped Tom in the kitchen, "I'm really staying. And you're happy with this life, the apartment and the routine and all of it?" Victoria considered the question. "I'm happier than I've been in a long time. That's not the same as perfect, but perfect isn't actually what I want anymore." "What do you want?" "This, whatever this is. It's enough." Rachel studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, I believe you." "Just like that?" "Just like that. You could have run a dozen times by now. You didn't. That counts for something." December arrived with cold that felt personal. Nathan's ancient heating system barely kept up.
"It's everything I worked for. And now I have a lease starting in 2 weeks. And a 4-year-old who asked me yesterday if I knew how to braid hair because she wants me to do hers for the school holiday concert. And a boyfriend who's learning to let me pay for things without feeling like it's a character flaw." "That's not an answer. I know." She was quiet for a moment. "I told them no. Again. Permanently this time." Victoria said, "Don't. I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything." "You just gave up your dream job twice." "No. I gave up a job I thought was my dream. Turns out I was wrong about what I actually wanted." Nathan pulled her close. "You're really staying?" "I'm really staying. You're stuck with me. I can live with that." They lay there in the dark, and Nathan felt something shift. The last piece of uncertainty falling away, leaving just the solid truth that this was real and happening and permanent. The holiday concert was the following Thursday. Lily wore a dress Victoria had bought her, purple, obviously, and stood in the back row of the kindergarten choir singing songs about snowmen and reindeer. She was off-key and forgot half the words, and Nathan had never been more proud. Victoria sat beside him in the auditorium, and when Lily spotted them in the crowd, she waved so enthusiastically she nearly knocked over the kid next to her. Victoria waved back. "She's good," Victoria whispered. "She's terrible, but she's confident about it. Same thing at that age." After the concert, they went for ice cream despite it being December and freezing. Lily got chocolate again. Victoria got the complicated caramel thing. Nathan got vanilla, because some things didn't need to change. Did you?
"See me wave?" Lily asked. "We saw," Victoria said. "You almost took out that boy. Marcus. He deserved it. He was standing in my spot. Your assigned spot was 2 feet to the left, Lil. I liked my spot better." They drove home through streets decorated with lights. Christmas was in a week. Nathan hadn't bought Victoria anything yet, because what did you get someone who owned properties in 4 cities? "What do you want for Christmas?" he asked that night. "I don't need anything." "That's not what I asked." Victoria thought about it. A plant? A plant. I've never kept one alive. Maybe with you and Lily around, I'll have better luck. Nathan bought her a succulent, the kind designed to survive neglect. It felt appropriate somehow. Christmas morning arrived with Lily awake at 5:30. She had her own room now in the new apartment. They'd moved in 2 days earlier, boxes still everywhere, and she used her newfound independence to run between bedrooms yelling about Santa. He came! There are presents! Nathan dragged himself out of bed. Victoria was already up, looking surprisingly alert. Coffee's ready, she said. You're a miracle. They opened presents in the living room that was bigger than Nathan's old one, but still felt small with all their combined stuff. Lily tore through gifts with maximum efficiency. Toys from Rachel, books from Helen, and obscene amount of art supplies from Victoria. This is too much, Nathan said quietly. It's Christmas. There's no such thing as too much. Victoria, let me have this, please. I never had anyone to buy for before. He kissed her instead of arguing. Lily opened her last present from Nathan, a bike with training wheels. She screamed, actually screamed. The neighbors probably hated them. Can I ride it now? It's 20 degrees outside, Lil. So you'll freeze. I'll wear my coat. They compromised on the hallway. Lily rode her bike up and down while the other residents gave them looks ranging from amused to annoyed. Nathan didn't care. Victoria filmed it on her phone, laughing every time Lily almost crashed into a wall. Later, after Lily had exhausted herself and was napping on the couch, Nathan gave Victoria her plant. A succulent, she said, examining it. Because I kill everything. Because it's hard to kill. There's a difference. What if I kill it anyway? Then we buy another one. She set it on the windowsill. It looked lonely there. One small
Plant in a big window. But it was a start. I got you something too, Victoria said. She handed him an envelope. Inside was a key. What's this? The brownstone is for sale. The whole building. I bought it. Nathan stared at her. You bought the building? I bought the building. Using it for something. We have equity, stability, or bad insane. Nathan looked at the key. At Victoria. At Lisane, he admitted. Good. They spent the rest of Christmas Day doing nothing important. Watching movies, eating leftovers, assembling the toys that required assembly. It was normal and domestic, and everything Nathan had thought he didn't want until he had it. That night, after Lily was in bed in her purple room, Victoria had caved and let her paint it. Nathan found Victoria on
Celebrate the new year. Show your sister we're still together. All that. I hate parties. I know, but sometimes we do things we hate for people we love. That's manipulative. Is it working? Unfortunately, they went. The party was loud and crowded and exactly as terrible as Nathan predicted. But Victoria seemed to enjoy herself, and Lily had fun with Rachel's kids, and that was enough. At 11:30, Nathan found himself on Rachel's back porch, escaping the noise. Victoria found him 5 minutes later, hiding, strategically, retreating. She stood beside him. They could hear the party inside. Someone laughing too loud, music thumping. Thank you for coming, she said. Thank you for making me. You would have regretted missing it. Probably not, but I appreciate the thought. Inside, someone started a countdown. 10, 9, 8. New Year in 30 seconds, Victoria said. Yep. Any resolutions? Stop making terrible pancakes. That's a good one. 7, 6, 5. What about you? Nathan asked. Learn to keep a plant alive. Stop running from things that scare me. Figure out how to be someone's partner instead of just someone passing through. 4, 3, 2. You're already doing that, Nathan said. Am I? Yeah, you are. 1. Inside, people cheered. Victoria kissed him, brief and certain and full of promise. When they pulled apart, she was smiling. Happy New Year, Nathan. Happy New Year. They went back inside, found Lily asleep on Rachel's couch, surrounded by confetti and noise. Nathan carried her to the car. Victoria drove them home through streets full of people celebrating, fireworks in the distance. Back at the apartment, they got Lily into bed without waking her. Then they stood in the living room of their new place, boxes still not fully unpacked, the succulent on the windowsill, evidence of their combined lives everywhere. We did it, Victoria said. Did what? Made it to the new year together. That was never in question, wasn't it? Okay, maybe a little in October. She smiled, crossed to the window where the plant sat. It's still alive. That's 4 days. That's 4 days longer than usual. Nathan joined her at the window. The city spread out below them, lights and movement and possibility. I love you, Victoria said quietly. It was the first time either of them had said it. Nathan felt his chest tighten. Yeah, I'm terrified and sure and completely in over my head, but I love you. I love you too, even though I bought a building without asking.
Especially because you bought a building without asking. That's very you. She laughed, leaned into him. They stood there while the city celebrated and their daughter slept and their future stretched out ahead of them, uncertain but present. January became February. The succulent survived. Victoria implemented her new assessment techniques at the center. Nathan finally told Martin he was looking for a new job, and Martin was relieved because apparently Nathan's dissatisfaction had been obvious for months. Lily turned 5. They threw a party at the apartment, half her daycare class, chaos everywhere, cake that Victoria had attempted to make, and that was lopsided but delicious. Lily declared it the best birthday ever, which she said every year, but this time Nathan believed her. In March, Victoria's lease on her San Francisco property finally ended. She didn't renew it. The last thread to her old life cut without ceremony. "How do you feel?" Nathan asked. "Lighter, like I've been carrying something I didn't need." "Any regrets?" "None." April brought spring, and the realization that they'd been together 6 months. Not long in the grand scheme, but long enough that it felt permanent. Long enough that Nathan had stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. Rachel invited them to Sunday dinner, a regular thing now, the tension gone. "You look happy," she told Victoria, while Nathan was in the kitchen with Tom. "I am. I wasn't sure you would be. This life, it's so different from what you had. That's the point. What I had wasn't making me happy. I just didn't know it until I had something to compare it to. And now? Now I have Sunday dinners, and a kid who asks me questions about everything, and a partner who makes terrible pancakes. It's enough. More than enough, maybe." Victoria smiled. "Yeah, more than enough." May arrived with warmth and the end of the school year approaching. Lily's teacher requested a meeting. Nathan's stomach dropped. Meetings were never good, but when they sat down with Miss Chen, she was smiling. "Lily's thriving, academically, socially, all of it. I wanted to tell you in person because the change has been remarkable." "Change from what?" Nathan asked. "From the beginning of the year, she was withdrawn then, quiet. Now she's engaged, confident. We're just being consistent."
Nathan said, "We'll keep being consistent. It's making a difference." In the car afterward, Lily in the back seat humming to herself. Victoria reached over and squeezed Nathan's hand. "We did that. You did that. You've been good for her. We've been good for each other." By June, they'd settled into rhythms that felt less like routine and more like life. Victoria's succulent was not only alive but thriving, which she took as a personal victory. Nathan had started interviewing for new jobs, something in nonprofit work that paid less but mattered more. They talked about the future in concrete terms now. Vacations they'd take, improvements to the building, whether to get Lily that dog she kept lobbying for. "We're not getting a dog," Nathan said for the 100th time. "We should at least consider it," Victoria said. "You're supposed to be on my side. I'm on Lily's side. She makes good points. She's 5. Everything she says is a good point to her." But Nathan was weakening, and they both knew it. In July, on a Sunday afternoon at the park, their bench, Victoria pulled out her phone and showed Nathan something. "What am I looking at?" "A ring." Nathan's brain short-circuited. "A ring? I wanted to ask you to marry me, but I wanted to make sure you like the ring first. I can return it if you don't." "You want to marry me?" "Yes." "Is that okay?" "You're supposed to let me ask." "Why?" "Because you're the man." "That's archaic." "Because I've been planning to ask you for 3 weeks and you're stealing my moment." Victoria's eyebrows went up. "You were going to ask me?" "Yeah. I have a ring and everything. It's in my sock drawer." "Your sock drawer?" It was supposed to be surprising. They stared at each other. Then they both started laughing. Helpless, ridiculous laughter that made people walking by give them looks. "So are we engaged or what?" Victoria asked when they'd calmed down. "I don't know. Neither of us actually asked yet." "Okay, Nathan Hayes, will you marry me?" "Only if you let me ask to." "Fine. Ask." "Victoria Vale, will you marry me?" "Yes." "Now say yes to my proposal." "Yes." "Good. We're engaged." Lily, who'd been playing on the swings, ran over. "Why are you laughing?" "We're getting married," Victoria said. Lily's face lit up. "I knew it. I told you, Dad. I said you should marry her." "You did, Lil. You were right. I'm always right. Let's not go that far." They told Rachel.
"Night," she cried, which surprised everyone, including herself. "I'm happy for you," she said, wiping her eyes, "even though you're both completely insane." "We know," Nathan said. "When's the wedding?" "We haven't gotten that far," Victoria said. "We got engaged about 4 hours ago." "Fall wedding, October maybe?" "That gives you time to plan, but we're not having a big wedding.
You have to have some kind of wedding for Lily. Victoria and Nathan looked at each other. Rachel had a point. They planned something small. City Hall ceremony, dinner afterward with family and close friends. Lily would be the flower girl. She took her responsibilities very seriously, practicing walking with an invisible basket for weeks. October arrived with cold air and changing leaves. The night before the wedding, Victoria stayed at Rachel's house. Tradition, Rachel insisted, even though they'd been living together for 9 months. Nathan lay in bed alone and thought about the path that had led here. A Sunday afternoon in a park. A daughter who saw what he couldn't. A woman who'd chosen to stay when leaving would have been easier. His phone buzzed. Victoria, can't sleep. Nathan, me neither. Nervous, terrified. Good, me too. Still sure? Never been more sure of anything. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. The ceremony was at noon. Nathan stood at City Hall in a suit that Victoria had insisted on buying him. Lily beside him in a purple dress, of course, holding her flower basket. Rachel sat in the front row crying already. Tom was filming even though Nathan had said not to. Helen was there and Miss Metafelnhaker, and some of Victoria's colleagues from the pediatric center. Then Victoria walked in, and Nathan forgot everything else. She wore a simple dress, cream-colored, her hair down. She looked nervous and happy and absolutely certain. She walked to him without hesitation. "Hi," she said. "Hi." The officiant started talking. Nathan heard approximately none of it. He was too busy looking at Victoria, who was looking back at him with an expression that said, "This is real. This is happening. This is permanent." They said their vows, standard ones, because neither of them were good with words that felt too big. They exchanged rings. The one from Victoria's phone, the one from Nathan's sock drawer. Both fit perfectly. "You may kiss the bride."
Nathan kissed his wife. Victoria kissed her husband. Lily cheered loud enough that people in the hallway probably heard. They were married. The dinner was at a small restaurant Victoria had rented out, intimate, warm, full of people who mattered. Lily sat between them, stealing bites off both their plates. Rachel gave a toast that made everyone cry. Tom's video would be shaky, but treasured. That night, after the celebration ended, and they dropped Lily at Rachel's for the night, Nathan and Victoria went home to their apartment in the building Victoria owned. "We did it," Victoria said, kicking off her shoes. "We did. I'm married. Me too. That's weird." "Yeah." She crossed to the window. The succulent was still there, bigger now, thriving against all odds. "It's still alive," she said. "You're getting good at keeping things alive." "I'm getting good at staying." Nathan joined her at the window. The city spread out below them, familiar now, home in ways it hadn't been a year ago. "Thank you," Victoria said quietly. "For what?" "For letting me stay. For not pushing when I needed space. For being patient while I figured out that running wasn't the same as freedom. Thank you for choosing this. Us. The life that wasn't in your plan. It's better than the plan. Yeah. Yeah." They stood there, husband and wife, looking out at the city that had brought them together. Somewhere in that city, in an apartment they'd visit tomorrow, Lily was probably still awake, telling Rachel about the wedding. Somewhere in that city, people were building lives and making choices and figuring out what mattered. And here in this apartment, with the plant on the windowsill and the evidence of their combined existence everywhere, Nathan and Victoria had built something that neither of them had known they needed. Not perfect, not smooth, not without fear or doubt or moments of wondering if they'd made the right choice, but real, permanent, home. Victoria turned from the window. Bed and, yeah, bed. They went to sleep in the apartment they shared, in the building Victoria owned, in the life they'd built together, one imperfect decision at a time. And in the morning, they'd wake up and make terrible pancakes and call Rachel to pick up Lily and start the rest of their lives. But that was tomorrow. Tonight, they just held each other and let themselves believe that sometimes the best things were the ones you never saw coming. Sometimes a child sees what
Adults miss. Sometimes a stranger becomes family. Sometimes staying is harder than leaving, and choosing it anyway is the bravest thing you can do. Nathan fell asleep thinking about a Sunday afternoon in October, about a 4-year-old pointing at a passing woman, about 3 words that had changed everything. Dad, marry her. And he had, against all logic, against all odds, against every fear that said it was too soon or too risky or too uncertain. He had married her, and she had stayed. And that, Nathan thought as sleep finally took him, was more than enough. It was everything.